What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to episode 28 of C4SVillains. I am your host JB and I am here as always with my co-host Legendy Vash, and we are here with two very special guests. Up first, the son of Darkseid, Prince Alawal, my boy Abe, and of course the king of games himself, Ray Apollo. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on this one.
Hey, thanks for having me back, BB. I appreciate it.
For Darkseid.
Vash?
For Caliban.
Right?
How you gonna be older than your dad? Don't talk to me.
Hey, yo, real talk though. Real talk. This was like the very few times where they don't give us a whack Calabac. Like
Facts.
It was like,
this might be the only time.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I'll be impressed of how good he is.
It's not the only time.
But that doesn't continue. But
yeah, but it was like, oh, this Calabac with the shit. Like even Darkseid is like, yo,
Well, I mean, think about it. He had to live up to his sister.
Yeah, I mean, definitely could have been no whack. Like he had to be a savage. It was dope, and then you remember every other iteration of Calabac, especially the animated universe, and you're like, okay.
I mean, let's be real. Like they couldn't. Salabat is legit. Calabat is Salabat is because I was about to call him. He's savage, like legitimately savage. There's a reason why they couldn't go into the depth that they did. I mean, I'm sure they could now with the HBO stuff. Straight up,
they gave us a timid, cowardly, sniveling. Like that's really the son of Darkseid. That y'all really serious that Darkseid would have kept this John alive if he was useless like this? Come on, man.
I mean, we can't
all be
Calabac. Can't all be badass all the time. You know what I'm
saying? Not everyone can be Grail. But I can't wait to talk
I'm more
about
badass
this
than Grail. Yo, shit, I trained her. What you think?
But guys, we are here. We are here to talk about Justice League, the Darkseid War. We're going to be talking, we're going to be reviewing the Essential Edition. So this is just the 11 Justice League episodes. We're skipping the 7 tie-ins. What I would actually like to do with the tie-ins one of these days, I would like to do those Patreon exclusives. We could do individual episodes or just do them all at once. I think that would be really cool. But right now, we're just focusing on Justice League issue 40 through 50, just talking about the main story of the Darkseid War. And I can't wait to talk about this with the council here because I read this comic twice this week because it was just so good. The art's amazing. Jeff Johns does a really good job writing this story. He wrote some of my favorite stuff in the New 52. The Flash run that he did before that, his Green Lantern run is legendary. And Jason Fabok, I hope I'm saying his name right, but this artist is amazing. He did the art for, I believe, at least 9 out of the 11 of the Justice League issues. And these panels are just absolutely amazing. Colorist Brad Anderson does an incredible job with these panels. So shout out to the entire crew, the letterer, the team that did the cover, everything. But I want to dive straight into our review of the Darkseid War. But I want to know, what are your general thoughts on this run? Ray, I want to start with you.
So Darkseid War, as a whole, to me, was one of the best things to come out of New 52. I ain't gonna front. Like it had a rough start. Like it kind of just tripped out of the gate and got better. But this was, I felt like this was supposed to be like the epic cliffhanger we got to get you excited to go into Rebirth, And for the most part, it absolutely did that. It did that, and I loved it. And I'm like, so that means that Rebirth is going to be incredible, right? We can talk about that later. But anyway, Darkseid War legitimately has some of the, I don't know, it took a lot of the universe and put it all up for show, which is what I really liked about it. It pulled parts from everywhere in the mythos that they created and really built a solid story that I'm like every page, I'm just like, yep. I'm just gonna keep reading because this is so good. And I felt like we were teasing beforehand. I was like, there were a few characters that didn't get as much shine as others, but I mean, when you have a cast that big, that it does become very difficult. And given the time that they did this in, I think they did pretty well still overall. I mean, they kept things balanced, you know what I'm saying? And I never felt like it was truly gonna go one way up until the very end, to be honest. So I'm like, this was just well done. Like, it was a very, 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 very good Justice League book, if you ask me. In the end, is one of the best Justice League stories they've told.
Facts.
Straight up.
Abe?
For me, honestly, top 5 DC storylines of all time in my personal top 5.
Top 5, all right.
Yeah, top 5. I mean,
The words there.
Right now, here are 2 of my top 5. I've always talked about the Blackest Night storyline. That's one of my top 5, and Darkseid War is another one. Others will be revealed in the future, but right now you already know 2 of the top 5. Darkseid War is definitely one of them, and it's not 5 or 4. I enjoyed the writing from beginning to end. I like the perspectives we were given, especially the focus primarily through Wonder Woman. Like, this was what this, like Ray mentioned, it's a great way to wrap up the New 52, and it was a stellar way to start Rebirth, and especially to really get Wonder Woman's Rebirth storyline going, because her runs were one of my favorites of the whole Rebirth era. There was a lot of really good story that stemmed from the events that we learned in Darkseid War. And then, of course, for Darkseid, right? This was a great chance for us to see the heavyweight go against someone of similar caliber, and then how that concluded and what happened to Darkseid afterwards. Just so badass. It just told you how dope Darkseid is, and it's why I can never ever take any Darkseid slander, because, like, have you seen what he's able to do? Even when you think even when you think you know what's about to happen, whole plot twist. So Darkseid War was that for me.
And yet he still got his ass whooped because he was like, my baby. That's literally what happened.
Vash, what are your general thoughts?
Well, my general thoughts, at first, I thought this was my first time reading it. I'm like, wait a minute, what is some of these panels and pages look familiar? And then I later finding out that I read this years ago. I'm like, holy damn. I'm rereading something that I should have read or reread a long time ago, because I forgot how good it is. The art is fantastic. The writing is stellar. We did speak about it behind the scenes. Not every character is fleshed out or given justice, but I love seeing Death Racer, like the Flash, with what happened with Grail, seeing our boy Scott, like seeing his perspective, seeing his storyline again, and his involvement with Darkseid and everything, and seeing the way Darkseid is written so well, and the way, like we said in the beginning, they give some type of respect to Caliban and actually have a great design from, like, I took a couple of screenshots of him, of how well he was designed and how well when he was fighting Wonder Woman or like or like other fights with the Justice League, and I love that very much. And overall, is entertainment. Like, you can literally take screenshots of these spreadsheets, of these double spreads fight, and literally just be about into the variant covers and the storyline of the characters that are involved. You see Batra and you see other characters that you enjoy reading throughout the years. It made me actually want to read other runs after this with Rebirth, with how it is connected, even though, like we said behind the scenes, Rebirth, some series are not always good, but I definitely want to check them out and actually reread them again.
Yeah, for me, Darkseid War is definitely top 5 for sure. I mean, top 10 for me in terms of
And
DC stories.
Top 10 as
Definitely
well.
top 10. The writing amazing, the coloring, the art, everything was just hitting on all cylinders in this story. Like I was reading it yesterday, and within like before I knew it, 90 minutes was gone, and I was already like 180 pages in. I'm like, it's just so good. And sometimes I just went back and just stared at panels because it just looks so amazing. Like I couldn't get over like how great the Anti-Monitor's design was, how great Darkseid's design was, and a lot of these characters that we're gonna talk about throughout the series. And like you guys have already hit on how this set up Rebirth for Wonder Woman's story, for Batman's story going forward. Like I really like the Flash run in Rebirth. I like it a lot, like Wonder Woman's run. Not everything in Rebirth hits, you know. I do like most of Batman Rebirth, you know. I like that run quite a bit. But this Darkseid War is something that I'm going to revisit maybe once a year because it's just so much fun. Like we'll get into it in chapter 1. But Grail kicks so much ass. She has one of the best like character introductions in comics, dude. It's kind of crazy how she just shows up and she just fucking wrecks everyone.
Easily. Oh my goodness. Top 5 intros to a comic character.
Think about it though. Her lineage is OP as hell. She's
Fact.
from an Amazon and the daughter of Darkseid.
An Amazon assassin.
Like
she's
OP as hell. Like so
broken.
Of course.
She's broken. Like
she had to come in badass. She had to be on her P's and Q's immediately.
I mean,
or else
she said
not really the
she told
Darkseid.
2 very important truths when she showed up to see our heroes. She was like, "All right, the 2 of y'all, Batman, Cyborg. I gotta worry about y'all, so you're done."
I love how she came to like, I need to take you out and you out. You guys will give me trouble, and that's what she did. She literally took them out, and all of them were like, "Oh damn, you're Batman."
Every move was calculated.
It was very well.
I mean, the one that was the biggest shout for me was Cyborg. She knew how important and how powerful Cyborg can be. Mm-hmm. She says they still won't let him be strong. Just let him be strong. God damn it. And like there's even like right after that, there's something where I'm like, do y'all not realize how ridiculous this is? When he's like, "Oh yeah, my body's been growing back."
Yo,
excuse me.
When I read that, like, why don't we come back to this in the comics? Like, I haven't read the Rebirth comics.
It's really annoying. Like I said, there's a lot that really bugs me about the characterization of Cyborg, and just that there's a lot of potential left. And I feel like it's because they don't know how to tell that story. They don't know how to develop Cyborg.
Yeah, it's never been right.
I mean, and just to kind of talk about Cyborg for a second, they make him irrelevant like halfway through when Scott is there, because Scott can do most of what he does already. I'm like, how is he better than Cyborg? That don't make sense. Yeah. I don't even know why y'all gave him that, but okay.
I mean, we saw at the end of Rebirth how they then tried to make Cyborg relevant again by combining him with that JL Odyssey following Death Metal, and it was just like it was just like it. So I guess Cyborg is only good for team-ups at this point.
That's literally how they use him.
Can't even run him solo no more.
That's literally it. Straight up, bro. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And I'm like, all right, cool. Maybe they'll do Superman. Oh, wait. They just turned him into Goku.
But the thing is, did I lie? He turned into the god of Goku. Straight up.
Pretty much.
And he was stunting and shit, too.
It was. And I thought it was hilarious. But I'm like, oh, he's just Goku now.
But I agree. I agree with what you said, right? Because when Scott said, "Oh, I already took out the security cameras. Oh, I already did this," but Cyborg was in the process of doing it. I'm like, isn't Cyborg supposed to be faster and be connecting to her? How the fuck is Scott doing this? And then I got the question, like,
it's like I get it. I get it. He's an escape artist. For him to escape from apocalypse, like, it's a big deal. But to do it faster than Cyborg.
I'm calling bullshit.
And like, how is Scott doing it? Like, didn't explain it or gave us any type of explicit or implicit.
You know why I'm mad? He's using the exact same technology as Cyborg, but Cyborg is that technology. He was using the mother box.
Thank you.
Right. Right.
It's like,
I guess the only
infused
thing
with it.
that you can like kind of give him leeway for is that Scott, while Cyborg is the mother box, Scott actually knows the mother box.
Oh yeah, he built his own, which makes sense.
It's true.
So he's able to truly understand what Cyborg still needs to learn, and that's something that they constantly played on.
Fair.
And you know what? Here's the thing, but that's really writing's fault that he has not yet understood it. Like at some point, he should have been understood. Even in the JL Odyssey run, he still doesn't understand it, and it's like, yo, at some point. Cyborg, this is who you are. You should have had your self-reflection journey a long time ago.
I mean,
you
it's
should have
just
a better grasp of what you can do, and they don't. They don't.
Why hasn't he had his discovery arc where he's like, every person who gets superpowers for their time trying to figure out what they can do? Still hasn't done that apparently. Okay. And
I think that's what they were going for with JL Odyssey, because you remember that they kept visiting the planets
that's true.
where
they did.
like. It was
the
one
different
of the
technology
lost worlds, and each one was an icon in that world, and it's like, okay, because now you're telling us that like somehow the idea of Cyborg existed in alien culture.
What I would have loved to have seen is that all of those remnants are like lost technologies were remnants of the original mother box, and Cyborg needed to go collect them like a Mega Man armor to basically. Put all the pieces together and like become Father Box. I don't know. Like it would have been called something different. Like it would have no longer been a Mother Box. It would have been Cyborg or Victor. Like that's how I would have wrote that. It would have been so damn good. It would have been fun as hell.
Yeah, I mean they can do so much with Cyborg, but I just don't know why they don't. You know what I mean? There's so much you can do.
I don't. Trash, yo. Sometimes they make trash decisions.
Give him a huge upgrade and put him up against Brainiac, right? Like he can still fight with other members of the league, but let him be the lead, right? Let him be the leader of that story. Him using the technology from the Mother Box, his experience against Brainiac. I think that would give Cyborg a huge opportunity to shine in the comics, period.
Yep.
Would you blame the writers or would you blame DC Comics not knowing what to...
Both of them. I would say that they haven't put the writers who even cared enough to make the story interesting on Cyborg.
Okay. Agreed.
They don't give them the resources to do what they want to do. Think about it. When was the last time you saw a solo Cyborg run?
In Rebirth?
Yeah, in like 2015.
I think that was 15 issues max.
I think it was 12, bro.
That's 12.
And guess what? Yeah. They had to cancel it because they knew it wasn't doing well. They
exactly.
First it was coming out frequently, and then they changed. Once you change it to monthly in comics,
it's like
you on the chopping blocks.
But
they moved him to monthly early.
They did. They changed a lot of those series to monthly and then to bi-weekly after because they just didn't think a lot of those series. Because they pushed almost, I think, 25 series, and then after those 25 things, only 10 or 8 survived. It was so sad.
So no, a lot more survived. Like a lot of them kept going way longer than they should have, to be honest. And then they had a bunch of tie-ins, and then they brought in a bunch of like crossovers. This is what they did. Yeah. They decided to turn them into crossovers. So Justice League, Suicide Squad, and then like Teen Titans and Titans, and all of that stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But enough about that. Like it's like I know. Darkseid War, they used them for two main things, and I'm like, we'll get to what they were later on, but I just know they could have done a lot better, especially when I guess the reverse cyborg comes into the equation. That's what I'm gonna call it now.
Oh yeah, grid.
Yes, reverse cyborg. There you go.
Oh goodness. Yeah.
That's a whole storyline they could go into because that's a fight that could last forever and span all of the multiverse.
Yeah. It really could. But I mean, a bunch of missed opportunities, man. I'm loving where Static is going right now. I really hope to get more people, good writers onto like these black, superhero properties.
I picked up my Icon and Rocket today.
I'm picking that up next week. I'm
going to pick it up next week as well.
I wish I had brought them in here because I got one of the alternate covers and god damn, it's beautiful.
Yeah, the variants are amazing.
I'm gonna send a picture because I got the one that's like, oh,
I tell y'all, I love the variants way too much, yo. I love the variant.
I've been picking up at least 3 of them every single time they drop because I was like, let me see what else y'all got. Yeah, they had them.
Yeah, next week for sure. Early next week, I'm going to the comic book store and I'm going.
Yeah, boy.
Because I haven't bought any comic in like a month, and I'm itching.
And you never know like which one is going to be like worth like a shit ton of money.
That's true. You never know. I have the first appearance. I have the first appearance of Riri. It's worth like $600.
Yeah.
I had no idea that would ever blow up like that. Like for real? Okay. Oh man.
Yeah, but let's dive into the story. So let's start off briefly going over the prologue real quick. So the prologue takes place on Themyscira. This is where we learn that Grail and Diana and someone else was born on the exact same night, right? I thought this was a really, really cool intro into this entire story. The fact that Marina decided, well, in order to do what the Amazons was designed to do, which was to save man from war, the greatest threat is Darkseid. How do I destroy him? I'm going to have his baby and use his child as the ultimate weapon to destroy him. The first time I read that, I was like, okay.
Nasty.
I mean, look, I went into the chat and I was like, look, guys, I'm all for Darkseid. I'm all team Darkseid and whatnot. But physically, who in their right mind would sleep with Darkseid? Like, can Darkseid even perform sexual activity?
Yeah, someone with extreme determination.
We did, but like, Darkseid doesn't strike me as a person who's like, let's get this thing popping, shorty. He's more of like.
Did you see her? I think she was the one that was like, "Hey, let me get this thing popping."
And he was just like,
"All right,
I guess so."
Let's put the legs out here. Let's put the legs out.
But then they also mentioned Granny Goodness and I was like, you know what? I'm cool.
That also happened.
Process.
Yep. Yeah, it's like
that also.
My favorite reaction.
I don't even want to think about that.
Four times. Four times. Wait, was it 5 times?
It might have been more because
it was 5 times.
The Furies are her kids.
Exactly.
Yeah, the Furies are her kids. So isn't it 4 or 5, right?
Yeah. So it's Caliban.
Something like that.
Yeah, because
Darkseid 6 times because then the son that they gave away.
Oh yeah, Orion. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm done.
And I love that this story really is just like, I love that it's centered around the parallels between Grail and Diana, like them being these amazingly powerful Amazons that are technically fighting for the same thing in completely different ways. Mm-hmm. And on the night of their birth, one was born a blessing while the other one was born a curse, which gave into a premonition by one of the other Amazons foretelling the great war of the dark god versus the anti-god. And I love that great introduction into this story because it perfectly feeds into what we get into for the rest of this story. So let's dive into Darkseid War Chapter 1, God versus Man. So the Justice League starts investigating all of these, a bunch of murders, because Darkseid's people is looking for Marina Black, who we know is the mother of Grail. And apparently there's 42 women with the exact same name in the United States.
Yeah,
with that specific name.
I mean, there was 50 before.
Yeah, and then there's 42 alive right now. So let's continue Xing them out.
Oh I'm goodness. Like, first of all, I was like, dang, what a.
First of all, I was like, you're a terrible assassin. Right? You're just checking at everybody with the same name, bro. Come on,
Terminator style, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, you got a mother box and you still tripping? Okay, cool.
And like we alluded to before, this is also the chapter where Grail shows up before the Justice League and just completely destroys all of them. First of all, she uses Barry as a portal.
Did she not use she used the Speed Force as a portal?
Yeah.
No, that was creepy that she did that scan out his map. Like, I literally had to look at the panel page by page like 3 times or more. I'm like, damn, my boy. I felt
bad for Barry because I just would have sat down. I would have quit. But like, nope.
No, counsel.
I feel like a horror scene.
You're not doing it justice. You're not doing it. You have to set up exactly for the readers to understand how wild this entrance was.
I literally
do it.
Look. So what we're doing, we're investigating the death of one, whatever Black, M Black, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Justice League in the house, and we're being introduced to each one by Wonder Woman as a narrator, and she's presenting each one to us in duos, in pairs, like Flash and Batman. How like they normally don't get along, but they're both smart and they're investigating the evidence, and you show that teamwork. So we're getting everybody.
I did love that, by the way. They're like, by the way, don't forget,
awesome.
they also are crime scene investigators. One's a detective, one's a forensics.
Exactly.
We don't really play into that no more because they're basically guys now. We'll talk about that later.
But
I love that very much. I agree. I love that.
We meet. First of all, we get Green Lantern, and then we get Jessica. Is her name
Power Grid? At this
and
time, they're still calling her
Power Ring. And we're hearing that her ring has a mind of its own. So we're just getting met to all of this, and we're like, all right, they're investigating, and we're like, yo, we as a reader know who it is. They're about to come to that conclusion, and then out of nowhere, Barry gets a headache, and then you see hands come out his mouth, and you're like, yo, the only person missing from this whole party is Superman, who we see is elsewhere. So you have the entire Justice League, plus some friends, and Jessica, because she's not official Justice League, right? So she's here.
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, she's
not at this point. No, they're like, you got a ring. Hal Jordan's like, I got you along to like make sure that you are right.
because spoiler alert, her ring is from the syndicate.
Right.
So they're all there in this room, and then hands just come out of Barry's mouth, and Grail just pops out and starts whooping ass. Like dog in the room with like 8 people.
She popped out of Barry's mouth and then knocks him out. She's like, "Hey, all right, thanks for the ride, punk," and then literally just bodies him immediately.
Like Ray mentioned, she used the speed for.
I felt like I was reading a horror comic. Once she came out the mouth, I felt like I was watching some type of Insidious or some type of horror film, because she did came out like and literally just knocked him out like Abe said. And then just went to Batman first, like, I need to take you out. Then went aside, but I need to take you out next. And then from there, just started square up hands with everyone else. And I'm like, oh shit, shit's about to go down.
That is something. That is something I wish they had gone into a little bit more, because she starts spouting out about, I've been learning and researching about all of you. I know everything about you, and I'm like,
I wish we knew.
Where did you learn this from? And like. Yeah, like who gave you this information? Have you just been following them around, taking notes in a notebook? Like, Deku, what's been happening here? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right, cool. I mean, that's just something, that's a little side thing I would like to have known, but still.
Agreed.
She basically just starts to dismantle the Justice League piece by piece.
Like, no fear. It didn't matter what they could do. Like she said, all your powers mean nothing to me. I don't care about your special capabilities. Oh, look, that ring? I could use that. Might as well.
Which is crazy.
Using that.
Like, she's
hold on.
I need this for something real quick. Hold up.
No, she said, I need this. Not now, though. Later. I'll be back later.
And she goes, Hal Jordan, go whack it. Get out my face. Basically, that's what she says to him.
But like, how often do we see this type of disrespect?
He got disrespected the entire run, if you ask me.
The entire run.
Oh, yeah.
Batman.
The entire run.
Batman literally just said, you're a working piece of shit. Your ring does more work for you.
Let's be real. Batman, I'm like, you's an asshole, but he knows that. So I'm like, he knew the entire time.
Best coming from Batman though in that situation.
It always comes from Batman.
Yeah, it can't have it come from everybody else. But
I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. And then my favorite part was when Diana's on the phone with Superman. She goes, "Hey, yo, is that Superman? Tell him get him down and start whoop his ass too."
Right?
I'm like, oh.
Word! I'm like, word! She wanted smoke!
I want to get the hands out here to every single league.
Hey, Ray, for Anime Lately, if there's a top 10 comic character who wants a smoke list and she's not top 10,
Grail has to be on the list. I'm not kidding, because she was like, nah, I want to whip the whole Justice League.
She said, tell Superman to come back here. He's in the wrong spot.
Tell the Kryptonian y'all need help.
Like, I want to see the Kryptonian as well.
I was like, yeah, she really ain't messing around with y'all. Oh,
yeah, she took them out so easily. She took out Shazam easily. She just took over Jessica's ring. Like,
she stabbed Shazam. I didn't expect that. Like,
don't get the respect he wants, because you saw how Grail just made him like useless. Like, dog couldn't even get a lick in and got taken out.
Billy didn't. I don't even think Billy moved. And then she was like, "Oh, that's right. You still here?" And she's like, "Sucks that you're a kid, but you still gotta go."
Yo,
like, oh.
And just speaking about that, I love Diana giving her perspective throughout the whole narrative, saying and like, oh, we have the youngest, which is Victor Shazam, which is technically with Shazam being the youngest because he's a kid with the powers of God. I love how she gives the narrative throughout each chapter.
Well, think about it. It's really Diana's story. Like
it is.
She's the main. She's the main hero.
Again, why
she's definitely the protagonist.
Great job of setting up Wonder Woman Rebirth. This was a great. Like I view this as the perfect prologue to the whole Rebirth line for Wonder Woman.
Because definitely.
It was so fire. It made you actually invested because I know.
Oh yeah,
Ray, like you mentioned before, Wonder Woman's always had great stories and whatnot, but you're not really drawn to it because of marketing and whatnot. But this was the first time where it's just like, yo, this major storyline makes you want to read Wonder Woman Rebirth.
Agreed.
Absolutely worth it. I would actually highly recommend it. If anybody's like, I want to start looking into Wonder Woman, start reading Wonder Woman from Rebirth. Yeah. Literally from Rebirth.
Absolutely.
Straight up.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
So I mean, because she absolutely had like one of the strongest runs. And then she was also amazing in Trinity. Goodness gracious. Wonder Woman was just really well done in I think most of everything in Rebirth, to be honest. So
they did right by her.
Finally.
That's true.
And then we got what's that movie? 64. Whatever.
I don't know what movie you're talking about.
1984. Jesus.
Yeah,
look. I don't start movies and drop them. I always see a movie through. If I don't see a movie, it never existed. So I don't know what movie you're talking about.
Yeah, I feel that way about Spider-Man 3, but all right.
I don't know what movie that is either. I thought there was only 2 Tobey Maguire movies. I thought they all got 2. Isn't Tom Holland the first one to get 3?
Hey, listen. Maybe.
Maybe. What I also love about this first chapter is it's just the beginning of this relationship between Lex and Superman.
Oh my goodness.
I love how Superman kind of just like tricks him into like trying to cure cancer.
which I was like, that was
like,
such a Superman thing to do, because I'm like, Superman, you could have done this, but you were like, hey, F you, Lex, you do it. You did this to him, you fix it. Essentially, because that literally is Lex's fault. Because it's post the virus when the crime syndicate attacked. So it's definitely his fault. So
Lex and Superman have one of
their banter in this back and forth was actually legit. Like all of it.
Was. the whole time. I was never dissatisfied. I enjoyed it so much. Even so much so that when we get to what happens to Lex, it's like I was content with the elevation, even though like he didn't do much. But I was content with the elevation because I'm like, it's well deserved. You might.
He's just. I love that he got where he got because he lied.
Pretty much.
Literally lied.
But the fact that he was even able to handle it,
says a lot. But also they address that later on. So it's just like, well, it was gonna go somewhere.
Very true. It was gonna go somewhere.
All good things must come with a price, right?
Yeah. Basically. Yeah.
But I love how his sister just betrays him and then uses the mother box to just send him and
so I love that. That was one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite parts of that first chapter. Is like she's like, Superman's like, you know what? And then it's like too late because she's like, bop bop, and he's like, she's like, basically, I did it. We hated him anyway. Yeah, for Darkseid.
Everyone did.
And I was like, I just kind of shrug every time, like, she's right.
I'm over here wondering, like, damn, Darkseid been making moves. Like, y'all niggas thought y'all was on. Y'all see,
Darkseid is everywhere, bro. Like, remember, Earth is the first place he lost. Of course, he's gonna do what he can to get this place.
Like, people gotta understand that Darkseid ain't no brute. That man is cold and calculated. He makes
petty,
moves.
He petty.
He's definitely petty.
He is a sore loser and petty.
I mean, I'd be a sore loser too if you ruled thousands of worlds.
And you lost to Earth?
Man, I would have took that one L and be like, all right, that's cool.
Me too. I lost to this, humans, Kryptonian.
Not to these people who kill themselves on a daily basis and actually bring themselves on the brink of.
I mean, but look at who protected them, bro. It's like, hey, all right, fine.
And then I made him my son, and I still lose. Nah, yo, I gotta wipe them out. They get my hands. And then
you lose again. Literally again. So see, that's the problem. I wouldn't have took the second L. I would have lost. On the first one, I would have learned to be like, I'm good.
I'm a sore loser, dog. You know, if it was me, there would have been bodies. There would have been casualties that they could not bring back, even if they had a Lazarus.
We all know there was only one body here
And you.
With a giant hole in it.
Literally. We'll get to that. We'll get to that though. My goodness.
But so, we switch back to Grail. She uses Jessica's ring in order to open up a portal to another universe using the shallows and everything. And then we get this amazing panel of the Anti-Monitor into our world. Yeah. Again, man, this panel is absolutely amazing. The Destroyer is here. And like, what did you guys think about that first appearance of seeing the Anti-Monitor on Earth?
I enjoyed the aesthetic. Yeah, but I enjoyed the parallels to Darkseid himself and how they basically made it like, yo, these are the top two dogs. Like, they are destined to fight each other. They are one and the same, yet they're also different.
Well, I mean, I kind of feel like heavyweights. I mean, we saw it. They were like, he was like, yo, no, bro, I want to fight him.
Yeah. It's like, bring me Darkseid. It's like, bet. It's like, okay. Like, let's pull up, and now everybody's like, who the hell is this nigga?
It's like, why y'all? He's like, why?
My God.
I love. Metron was like, why, bro? Come on, man. He's like, he pleaded with, come on, bro. Like, just don't do this.
And then, and then the dialogue is from Wonder Woman, just like, what do you do when telling the story of Odysseus?
Yes, I love that.
I'm like, yo, how do people not give Wonder Woman her respect? You get lore like this, you get mythos like this constantly.
She has one of the most interesting backgrounds and lore to pull from.
This whole because it's mixed with Greek gods. It's amazing.
She's comparing the Anti-Monitor with Darkseid to the journey of Odysseus, and she's like, yo, at least in that one they had out. We don't like.
Yep.
What is this?
So I'm like, I'm sorry.
I love the line that she said. Who do you choose is the lesser evil to help and protect? I love that. Like, it's. I mean, it's
at that, you know, I feel like at that point, personally, I was like, there is no like.
There's no lesser evil.
There's no good or evil there. It's like two cosmic forces clashing. Like it was gonna happen.
It is inevitable. It's just you have no.
I mean, they want something from the other that it's just that one is so strong it's gonna happen, and so you either are a part of it or you just kind of ride it out. Man, I couldn't live in the DC universe. People are like, yeah, I live in DC. I would never live in the DC universe. No. Y'all know it's on the brink of extinction constantly.
I would never live in the Marvel either. Marvel, DC.
Marvel, I would say, is not as threatened to like literally be evaporated once a month.
Marvel, New York, I would definitely not be.
Yeah, I would never live in New York.
You don't want to live in New York in any comic book.
Literally.
Any comic book, really.
New York, Chicago.
I mean, if you ever read if you read any of the Justice League, every book is them facing a world-ending threat, literally. So I'm good.
One of my favorite panel in chapter 1 is just to see this panel once again. Yeah. See that panel once again?
Yeah, they slapped real hard this whole thing. It was beautiful seeing a lot of these panels.
That was another part of the prologue, because we'll talk about bits and pieces of that. I didn't want to go into it in the beginning because I did love that part though, just like Metron just showing us through like Infinite Crisis, Crisis on Infinite Earths, like Flashpoint, all of that stuff.
Flashpoint too.
All of those different ways that the universe has been ripped apart and put back together again, and how this could be the one thing that just wrecks reality, right? So this chapter ends with Marina picking up Scott and trying to get him to help her in her endeavor to defeat Darkseid. Like, I like Scott. Scott's really cool.
Scott is really well done in this. He's really well done in this run. Yes. Mm-hmm.
I think he's the best in this run of Scott, his character. He's one of his best.
His solo book is actually really good.
It's
actually really good. Yeah, read Mr. Miracle. It's actually pretty good.
But if you want to be introduced to Scott, I definitely will point to Darkseid to introduce you to Scott, and then you dive into his solo run.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, his run in Rebirth, like coming out of this, is actually really good.
Yeah.
So
Rebirth had some hits. It had some misses, but it also had some really good hits for certain characters.
Rebirth, I say it with a straight face because it's true. Rebirth was much better than Marvel's reboot. So.
Oh, definitely.
Facts.
Yeah.
Marvel's
They
Rebirth was
happened. They
very
happened
weak.
about the same time, but
They
Wait,
did.
which one was
Rebirth was. I don't
which
even remember
one
what it
was
was
Marvel?
called.
It wasn't the Infinite Gauntlet one, right? The Infinity
No,
War?
oh no. So it was. So I will say that their ending stories were, I would say, damn near on par. The Secret Wars that ended into the end of it, and this they came out about the same time, and they were both really damn good.
Yeah, Rebirth happened, and Marvel's Rebirth was, I think, 6 months before.
What was it called?
I forgot what it was called.
Now I don't even remember what it was called. God,
because I will say this, Marvel does a great job of titling their events. I really do be fucking with the titles of their events.
What was it called?
I can't remember.
I can't remember. But I do want to say, to what I was saying with the panel of Infinite Crisis, when I saw that, it reminded me of the CW Infinite Crisis. I'm like, it was okay. I wish it could have been this good of how it looked in the comic, but I know we will never get that. But what I would love to get is this animated. At least some of these crises that we see Infinite, like we got Flashpoint, but we could get Infinite Crisis as a animated, or this War of Justice League War as well. This would be amazing.
Yeah, to get a Crisis on Infinite Earths, that would be sick if they do the whole thing animated.
Darkseid War was Apocalypse War. You know, they kind of
that way. Kind of.
Yeah. It was like that, yeah.
Because that one basically reset the universe as well. So I think that's the closest we'll get to Darkseid War. It will just be Apocalypse War.
Yeah.
Okay, so overall, I would love to see Infinite Crisis animated. That would be freaking beautiful. But...
yeah, that'd be sick. Chapter 2, The New God. Love this chapter a lot. Like this again, getting to see more of Superman and Lex working together, right? Like we get that little glimpse of Darkseid just talking about the fact that he's going to send the slaves after Superman, well knowing that Superman could defeat them, but he wants Superman to see true despair, to see that these people can't be saved and they will do anything to not be tortured by Darkseid and his forces. So what did you guys think about this?
All hail Lord Darkseid. This man, I mean, we call it petty, we call it evil, I don't care what you call it. He knew what would serve best. He knew that Superman was going to become more mortal. He didn't care. Like, no, I don't want him to die. I want him to know despair. I want him to know grief. I want him to know pain. I want him to break
suffer.
Every shred of hope he had.
And his soul.
He was like, no, I want that man's soul on a plate. Give it to me. Because he was like, Stephen Wolf was like, yeah, bro, I'll go cut him. He was like, Stephen, now you know you ain't gonna do nothing to Superman.
Right? I was laughing at that.
He turned his neck and said, you think you gonna do something to Superman? Okay. Cracked me up. I was like,
I've seen what happens when y'all go up against Superman.
I fought back for Steppenwolf because he said, I will bring you his head, father. I will come here and serve his plate as a trophy for you. Darkseid's like, nah, boy, shut the fuck up. I'm not just sending him some despair and that's it.
I couldn't defeat them. You're gonna defeat Superman,
right?
But I feel like the funniest part of it, and we know this, and I'm sure Darkseid knew, he was like, he's not as powerful here as he is on Earth, and you still can't beat him.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, that must have hurt.
Darkseid petty as hell. Darkseid
top 10 anime betrayals right there, baby.
Again, like you said, he knew Superman would be in his weakened state. He still sent slaves. He's like, no, the slaves will take care of it.
Mm-hmm. He was like, he won't hurt innocents. He gonna try to save them. And he was like, nah, he can't. He's
but
like, I know this. Of course he tried. It's Superman.
Tried. And they still ended up
literally
dying.
Superman.
And they still ended up dying regardless.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. But good old Lex. Lex Luthor,
Lex is so necessary.
So I'll be honest, and this is going to sound wild, but dialogues between Lex and Superman are more interesting than dialogues between Joker and Batman.
Yeah,
and it's because they can both exist in the same space and have a conversation in which, at the end of it, maybe one of their minds has changed. Straight up.
I agree.
Yeah,
because those two characters will not even try to kill each other. They will try to just have a dialogue with
I mean,
no, but I'm saying
Superman tells him flat out. He's like, look, the reason why you even ever get close to beating me, and I think he can say this to literally everybody. It's because I'm
I
holding
held
back.
I love that line.
And
I
then
love
when
that line
Lex
when he told
realizes
Lex.
that too,
Yeah, he's
when
like,
Lex
oh
realizes
shit.
that, he's
You're
like,
right.
okay. But no, I do agree with you because Batman and Joker have some of the more better psychological storylines.
Exactly.
Because
Yes.
of how they operate.
I mean, because they are literally are products of trauma. They are
Yeah,
literally
right.
trauma.
Right.
So that's why they're a goated pair. But
Yeah.
Superman and Lex, that's why I said when we started talking about Lex is necessary. Lex, like without Lex, Superman becomes like truly boring, you know?
Well, no,
like,
so see, I wouldn't say he's boring. It's just that he doesn't have someone who is trying to who is like literally so against him for reasons that you could see as legit.
Yeah,
For sure.
So it's like, you know, I like in some parts of it's like, yeah, I can get why he's like, no, we don't need somebody like Superman because it does nothing but create more problems, like straight up. But he also at the same time wants the power of Superman because he wants to be Superman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild. Joker don't want to be Batman.
And I really agree with you, man. Like, their dynamic is just way more interesting. Can you imagine if Lex and Superman actually worked together? If they could
Oh my
completely
God.
squash the beast.
I mean, and
They
they
could
have
change the world.
They've gotten close.
Right.
Close. But
And they've
Clark
teased
can't
it.
trust Lex, and he's right to not trust him.
Yeah.
It's just because that Lex is
Yeah.
what it is. You know, he's not a good person.
They
So I'm
did
like,
it in the Superman cartoons too.
yeah.
Oh,
They
the
had
cartoons
it where Lex and Superman were, and then it's like again, Superman gonna trust Lex. He never
Yep.
did. But
I mean, and the
really
people.
had
I mean,
an
it's because
iron
he
grip.
trusted him so many times, and it backfired so
Mhm.
bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, and that's like, if you really think about it, there aren't many people that Clark doesn't like give benefit of the doubt, or just like kind of give a blind trust to.
Mm-hmm.
Clark in that respect is dumb, but when it comes to Lex,
Because he sees Lex's potential, you know?
yeah, to
He
do
sees his
the worst.
Yeah, Lex could literally change the world, but he
Oh, he
chooses...
could take. Lex could take over the world. I think successfully.
Oh yeah.
He could.
Yeah, definitely.
Unfortunately, Superman also exists.
That's true. But then, you know, because I think that Lex could figure out ways to beat the rest of the Justice League because he's always trying to beat up Superman.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, if you're always trying to fight Superman,
Yeah,
you can handle the rest of them if you
everybody else is like, all right, low key, like, come on, Batman. All right, let me just bring up a picture of Martha or some shit like that. You know? Flash, like, all right,
I don't know.
let me go get Iris or some John like that, you know, because
I
let's
would
be
be
real.
curious to see how he dealt with Barry. That would probably
Every
be the most
Flash
interesting one for him.
always has to be with a reporter or investigative journalist, so that's an easy loophole to play with. We've seen it all the time.
I can't wait until we find out that they're all just different versions of Barry. Can't wait. That's what all of the Flashes are Barry, because they're all different variations of the Speed Force, which is Barry. Can't wait to find out.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me able to do that to like kind of be like, hey, no, Barry's the ultimate Flash, when we all know it's really Wally.
I mean, yes. So think about it.
To me, he's technically the fastest.
This is gonna sound stupid. but
Wally
it's like,
is technically the fastest.
imagine
that's what I'm saying.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Barry is one for all, and Wally is the best user of one for all.
Well, that's 100% true though.
All right,
That is
all right.
100% no.
That
That is
works.
100% true though, because
I'll
Wally
take that.
is more connected
I'll
to
take that.
Speed Force in a spiritual sense.
Mhm.
Barry is more connected by the physical sense. But
Well, it's also because
Wally knows how to
Barry
use it
made
more.
the ultimate sacrifice.
Yep.
I mean, Barry is responsible for saving
Barry gave
the
himself
multiverse. Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
Speed Force.
So as a result, you kind of have him being like the epitome of the Flashes. I mean, he made the ultimate sacrifice, but we all know, like you said, Wally is really the one who like.
I wish Wally was in this, by the way. I'm not gonna lie.
to-
I kind of wish he was in this. I was like, I needed a little bit more Flash stuff, but I'm a Flash fan.
Well, he's in the
Comic
Speed
book wise.
Force. You know, he's
Shut
gone.
up. Technically, he's not. Technically, at this point, he's not. Like, because of this, Barry is coming back because of the death of Darkseid.
Right.
Remember?
Yeah.
So, like, when Darkseid dies, that's when Barry like exists again. They explain that later on, though. Sorry for spoilers. My bad.
Yeah.
Again, Rebirth actually has some good stuff. Early Rebirth was
Mhm.
definitely hitting. Late Rebirth, all right, that's when we can have some discussions about some stuff.
From some stuff. But
Yeah, from
where did we leave off? We left off at what
chapter
was this?
2.
Chapter
so
2.
we get back to the fight with the Anti-Monitor and the Justice League, and this is where Metron pulls them out, right?
Yeah, Metron's like, hey, relax.
And this is actually one of my favorite moments because I mean this is Batman's ascension to becoming a god, man.
Oh
I
my
absolutely
God.
love this.
Of
So
course,
The
Batman.
way that y'all
Fucking
milk this,
Batman.
John, the way Bat fans milk this, y'all piss me the hell off.
It's
for
Batman,
this.
bro.
he becomes the god of knowledge, bro. It's
Listen,
so dope. His design, bro. The way his
I
eyes
tell
glow.
people
Oh
all
my
the time,
God.
I'm like, Batman is just another dude, but he was rich and had the time to learn every martial art on earth.
Yep.
But he's still a dude at the end of the day. Of course, a regular person is gonna want like the most power they can have. And what's the most powerful thing that you can have to Batman? Knowledge.
But it's funny how I think it was Hal Jordan when he said, out of all of us, Bruce, you're the one that can handle the chair. I'm like, really, him?
Of them, yes, he would be the most determined to handle the chair. Nobody else would want to handle that chair like Bruce did. Bruce wanted that.
I mean, in terms of pure will, who has that better than Bruce?
I mean,
realistically.
How,
technically.
technically?
I mean, yes.
By ring
like
definition.
but
Well,
see, the reason
no.
why Hal didn't need it is because he has the ring. So that's what he was like, yeah, anybody can handle it is you.
But Bats is
So.
definitely the best option to deal with the chair. No
Exactly.
one else would. I mean,
Right.
the
Nobody
only
else
other
would have used it
person
as well
would
as
have
him.
been Lex.
Yeah.
But
Agreed.
you had Lex elsewhere.
That's true.
So yeah, Batman by default.
Lex
had
could
to
not
do
have
it.
had that chair, bro. No.
Lex, no.
Lex would have been
Frightening.
Lex would have been
It
very
was
bad with that chair. So I was glad he got what he got, but no, Lex with the chair
was
would have been
frightening.
very bad.
Oh,
Doesn't
my
he
goodness.
get it in a run at some point?
He gets like a
Like
version
temporarily?
of it, yes. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that would have been real bad. Because then he would have ended up with an anti-life and blah 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 and
No.
oh boy, yeah, that would have been nasty. But no,
But
God
I
of
do
knowledge,
like-
Bruce.
I do like the team up with Hal and Bruce because
Yes.
Hal's excuse
I will
was,
say-
hey, we should have bro time, man to man time. Like that's just your excuse
Bruce
just to
is
keep
like-
watching him.
Bruce is like, shut up, bro, you a cop.
You're a coon. I'm like, okay, Hal.
I mean,
but
people have to remember that Hal Jordan is literally just a space cop, bro. That's all he
Yeah,
is.
Pretty much,
he
yeah.
is.
yeah,
And I hate the way he talks. He's like, this is my jurisdiction. I should do this. Well, shut up, Hal. We don't care.
but he sounds like a cop, so
He
it makes
sounds
sense
like a
why
cop.
he says that.
Making
Like,
himself feel important.
That's all he can do at this point. I'm like, shut up, bro. Because I mean, I think Hal's still suffering from kind of like a depression, but with his flirtation with Parallax for that bit that they do show you, by the way.
Yeah.
Which was like, I was like, oh yeah, that was the time that Hal Jordan became a god. But it was all bad.
So I love that moment where he's sitting in the chair and he's starting to ask questions when he realizes that he now has access to all knowledge throughout the universe, right?
Mhm.
And first question he asks,
Past
who
and
killed
present.
my parents? Just to make sure. And
Yeah.
then, so what did you guys think when he asked what's the identity of the Joker? What did you guys think? Did you think that he actually found out the Joker's real name and he was surprised at who it was? Or did you think it was something else entirely, like the first time you read it?
First time
No,
I read it,
so the first time I read it, when he goes Joe Chill, and he's like, yeah, but then it's like, but then he asked something else about it specifically. I thought, because remember he said who's my president, Joe Chill. He said, yeah. Then he asked it, well, what's the Joker's name? And I bet when I was shopping, because I was like, wait, what's that mean? So I'm assuming it was like the chair asked him a question back, and I bet it was like, which one? And he was like, hold up.
the first time I read it, I was like, all right, we're gonna learn something about the Joker, but it's gonna be something out of left field.
I mean,
Now, did I expect
they
it to
telegraphed
be-
it pretty
Yeah.
like there was some spots where they were clearly talking about the Joker, like
Yeah,
heavily.
and so I'm like, all right, so is it going to be like, for a second I thought, oh, the Joker is actually like a variation of Bruce Wayne from like a different.
Oh,
universe.
God.
That's what I thought. I was like, yo,
See, I was kind of
they
thinking
could
something
do
like
it.
that too, like some
calling TVA,
alternate,
bro.
like
Nope.
yeah,
Calling TVA.
I was like, oh, the Joker is you, and I'm like, oh shit,
Yeah.
wouldn't that be
See,
crazy?
that would have been wild, not gonna lie, but it also would have been like
I mean, it would have made it be like, so this
You
is how
literally
I
are
was
your
gonna think
own
of
worst
Batman?
enemy.
Yeah,
Ah.
it's like, damn, y'all really love Batman this much. Where
Uh-huh.
his greatest nemesis is himself.
Literally
It's like,
him.
really, y'all really. But it would have been crazy because it'd have been like, damn, Batman, you willing to do this, all this, even to your own members of your family? Like, at that point, everybody's going to look at you like, see, there's a reason why we didn't trust your ass. Because if you were to see, you worried about us. But if you snap, look at all the, you know what? That's what I thought.
That's true.
But then what it was later, I was like, oh, shit. I was like, oh, okay. How can you, and we discussed this, you know, they definitely was like a carrot on the stick. They're like, yeah, you want this, right? You want this? Yeah, no, we're not going to give it to you. We're not going to give it to you. Just wait. You made us wait like, what, 3 years, 4 years?
I mean, it was like 3 years.
Yeah. And they kept mentioning too, like, yeah, it'll be coming soon. They'll be like, oh my God, 3 Jokers. And then they had a delay. And then you're like, yo, so.
And then they had a delay.
Yeah.
And then they had a delay.
I still think it was worth it though.
I truly feel the delays kind of killed the post of this story, to be honest with you. There was a lot of, like, had that stuff come out on time, would have hit real different, I think. So,
but do you think it would still be good? Like, for example, me, who has not read each of the times or the post stuff from the that later on with the
Rebirth, had they focused on it, because since it was delayed, they couldn't focus on it, so they had to do new stuff.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that for me, who reads it now, I'm kind of binging it. Do you think it will be affected in my point of view since I'm just reading in a?
I mean, if you're binging it, you're fine.
Because you'll know exactly what to read. So see, there were key books and key tie-in books, but because there were so many delays, they had to like add other stuff, and it just took so long for it to come out that the story, you could see where the story changes in some places because they had to basically stall for time for the Doomsday Clock to finish. Yeah,
right.
Because the Doomsday Clock had it was going strong for like the first 2 issues, and then like everything else was delayed by a month or 2.
Yep. So they had to do. So tie-in books got delayed, and so then extra story got added to, like, you know, pad out until the tie-ins were ready. And it was. Yeah. Right now it would still be fun to read because it's so fresh for you. But just look up a list, or I can find a list for you. Just literally like from here through Doomsday Clock. So. I mean, then you got to read Metal.
After the stream now.
Yeah, then you got to read Metal. And...
I still need to read Death Metal. I haven't touched any of that.
It's so good, bro. So
Metal
good.
actually turned out really good. So
Metal,
I heard a lot of good things about
the best version of Joker ever.
And then
Flash,
State.
I heard.
So then after that, Future State
Flash, really good Flash.
Yeah, Flash turned out pretty good. Yep, I'm all about it.
Because you get the Flash War and all that stuff. It was a really good story, man.
By the way, before I get even more sidetracked, I just want to say real quick, Flash consistently has some of the best covers for their books. Those Flash covers be slapping so hard. They're so good. I can pull any Flash cover out of my stacks.
Some of my favorite Flash covers is from New 52, actually.
Yeah, I can see. I mean,
like the future Flash covers.
Yeah,
so sick.
I loved all the homage covers from Rebirth. They had a bunch that paid homage to like older books, and I was like, these are good. I like these. So, but yeah, I'm not gonna get sidetracked anymore. I promise.
No, you're good, bro. So of course, I love it that Batman gets his ascension, the god of knowledge,
the god of being a big head,
or taking the god being of an asshole.
I hated it because he literally looks at them and go, "I'm a god now, baby." I'm like, shut up, Bruce.
Like,
and then smirks, something you never see Bruce do.
He'd be like this.
I was like, what a dick. But he does look badass in that chair.
Right? He looks amazing.
He does. It was like, oh God, of course he does. By the way, all those end panels, like the full pages, beautiful.
Amazing.
God, they're so pretty.
Yo, artwork never deviated from 1 to 11.
Look at that.
Oh, yes.
It's gorgeous.
It was just fantastic. It was really fantastic.
So good.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, man. So that takes us into chapter 3, Taken, where we jump back to Apocalypse, and we get this amazing version of Calabac. This is my favorite design of Calabac, period. This chapter is also where we get to see the slaves actually fighting against Luthor and Superman. And again,
which
the dynamic... the dynamic between them, where it's like Lex wants to kill them because he sees people like they're far beyond just slaves at this point. There's no saving them. Why Superman still wants to do everything to save them. So I want to know what you guys thought about that.
I love the line that they kept screaming, "Death of Superman, death of Superman." I love that line that they kept screaming because is to remind me of the run of the.
Well, I mean, I think that was the point. Darkseid he did that on purpose.
Yeah,
he was like, I want you to remember the time that you died, and it's going to be here again, essentially, which wasn't wrong.
No,
but still.
Was this version of Superman when he fell in the pit? Was that like All-Star Superman?
Mm-mm. Yeah, so, All-Star is different.
All-Star is different. This was Clark. Except that, oh man, because I forgot that happens. No, yeah, this happens because it's, I mean, yeah, no, they were right. This was the start of the death of Superman. I just realized that. Oh shit. Dang! I can't believe they did that. They set that up far. Okay. Anyway, yeah, that happens way later on in some other books, and yeah, it's wild. But I think my favorite part is when they start to realize, because like Clark's like, oh, I should be able to find it, no problem. He's like, oh, it's a bunch of lead. And Lex like, nope. Hold up, bro. There's barely any lead in this. Like he's like, there's barely any lead. And after the slaves attack him, Lex looks shook because like Superman gets up and boys bleed. And, Clark don't bleed. He like, hey yo, I just realized ain't no sun. And they're like, oh.
And then the dialogue between the two before I become human, no, just powerless.
Right, which I was like, ooh, that's rude. I was like, that's rude, bro.
And then we play on that later again.
Well, I mean, technically, he would be human.
Yeah, but of course, because
because think about it, Kryptonians are basically just humans. They have a one extra strand in their DNA.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But I just love it. It was a perfect example of what the issue between Lex and Superman is. Lex does not see him as a human being,
right? And
Clark wants to be a human being.
Clark knows what he is. He grew up as a human. He is a human. It's like, it's very racist of Lex, by the way. But still.
Definitely is, because he said like
Lex is the ultimate racist.
Us equal?
Lex is
no.
Exactly. Lex is essentially Frieza. Let's be real.
Monkeys.
Jesus! Oh no!
No! And Clark felt butthurt about it because when he felt the pain, he came back. He like, oh, you said I'm not human, so what's up?
Let's he hurt his feelings. He was like, okay, look, you know what? I'm gonna show you. Yeah, maybe I'm not.
When the God of Strength was born, whoo, boy!
Which I thought was actually a pretty badass design.
It looks amazing.
It looked, especially with him coming out of the apocalypse pit. I was like, oh, this is beautiful. By the way, if anybody who's like, follow along with us, try and find and read the Superman tie-in for this, because they go into a bit more detail about this, and it's actually really good.
I do want to read that.
It's very good.
Definitely read the tie-ins for sure.
I'll say the best tie-ins are Batman, Flash, Superman, and Lex. Wonder Woman is okay, but those other ones are really good.
Yeah,
like really good. I would say that Flash is probably my favorite. A man that outruns death. Wild, bro.
Yeah, especially once you get to the end of the tie-in and you realize like how fast it was.
How fast he is and what it was, and like literally how fast it was like in the timeline. It's like this little tiny piece that's just like bloop, and I'm like, what? All that happened just like right there.
Right.
Yeah, for me, I read this run years ago. I just never read the times. That's why I'm like, I probably want to read the times now of how I just read this, and it's just like, damn, I really want to read.
Yeah, it's a good time. So you should. After we're done, I feel like you should absolutely check those out this weekend because they're worth it. Yeah, they're worth it. But so yeah, Superman basically comes out. He's like, all right, Lex, listen. Basically, he's like, I'm tired of you talking shit.
Like, I'm tired of you being racist. I'm a human.
He goes, you know what? Nah. He's like, the only reason why you ever have gotten close to beating me is because I was holding back. And he was like, he's like, I got enough power now that I'm finna leave. He basically says, I'm finna go. If I ever see you on Earth again,
you're gonna die.
You.
This is me showing you mercy.
And I was like, ooh.
I love that this also showed like the capabilities of Kryptonian cells when like saturated properly. Like just watching him falling into the pit and what it did to him. We'll talk about this a little bit more. But green kryptonite no longer affects him. Nope. He can breathe in space now.
Dog,
he's completely
his
changed.
ultimate form, low-key.
So I'm technically, I'm annoyed because they do this to Superman all the time. Well, they treat him like a video game character. They give him all his stuff, and then like right at the end, like at the beginning of the next game, they take it all away from him.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Like, why y'all doing this, bro? Like, just let him have something.
Because he's already OP, and then you make him more OP. What else do you do?
Look, it's not our fault. It's not our fault.
He can't keep fighting Darkseid.
I mean, there's other new gods they could make.
Yeah, no, that's
why they never give them a name.
This is why Death Metal low key. Well, honestly, yes, you could have explored the other new gods and even bring in the old gods. Yeah. And low key, that could have been a perfect opportunity to really give Wonder Woman more shine by doing some collaboration between
then that relationship would have made sense,
right? Because they teased that throughout this thing, and it's like, look, I mean, they've always been the one
they were a thing, for. Like they were a thing, like
but it's
they was definitely hitting it.
It would have been better fleshed out.
It would have been. It would have been.
They had a chance to do that with Rebirth, but again, some reason people don't want to give Wonder Woman her shine regardless, and then it would have made Superman stories even more entertaining because you do give him bigger threats aside from always constantly throwing his dark side. But then again, that's why Death Metal was dope, because then it forced that. It was like, all right, we're gonna have to break this thing and open up everything else. So
I mean, and let's be real. There's a lot of kids that Darkseid's got. There's way more story they could have told with them too.
Easily.
Like they could have.
Oh my god. The super family versus the Darkseid family. I would have loved that.
Would have been sick. Oh, that would have been good.
Like the Titans of good and evil.
Could you imagine if Diana and Clark had a kid?
Oh yeah, the world would be destroyed.
No, not destroyed, but it's just like,
you know, the funny thing
is,
would
be the ultimate.
You remember later in Rebirth when they had
those
issues during Wonder Woman, or I think they tied into Justice League, where their children from the future came back.
They come back.
Always wondering, wait, which one is Wonder Woman's? And we didn't know which one was Clark's either.
Nope.
We didn't know. Yo,
I think they left it ambiguous for a reason.
Yeah, definitely. I was like,
and it's because they were like, well, I mean, we'll let them guess. It's like, is it Bruce and Diana's, or is it Clark and Diana's? It's like,
because everybody else would be like, oh, that's your mama, or that's your daddy, but it was like, hold on.
It's like, is this Lois and Clark's kid? Like, we don't know. So, man, but yeah, that was lit. I was like, oh. I'm like, that's the real Teen Titans, you ask me. Now, no offense to the regular Teen Titans, okay? Goodness gracious.
So
Superman's a god now.
Yeah, Superman's the god of strength now.
Officially.
Also in this chapter, we get Scott. Yes, we get Scott meeting up with the rest of the Justice League, and this is where we formulate the plan. It's like, all right, some of us need to go and fight the Anti-Monitor and Darkseid, and then Batman and GL decide that they need to go. Well, Batman decides that Batman he's going to go and figure out more. Yeah. He needs to figure out, where did Mobius come from? What is his motivations? Where did he come from in all of this? And GL decides to go with him. So what did you guys think about that?
I love it.
That made sense.
It made sense where Batman was gonna go, and to find out what we found out, that Mobius, aka the anti-life monitor, got the anti-life equation. So to find that out, what he got and what he conquered, was amazing.
Did it not end with a cliffhanger? We didn't know yet that it wasn't the next chapter that they told us what exactly it was that he found.
I thought it was chapter 4 that we found out.
We find out in 4, yeah.
Yeah,
because I remember that last chapter, it was like, I was like, what type of cliffhanger is this? But continue, Vash, continue.
Yeah, so seeing that we found out about the anti-life equation is like amazing. Seeing that Scott just reunited with the Justice League, but also while getting there, because my dude's getting ass whipped by 2 other people, like Scott had no time for rest. Like my dude's getting hit by Kanto or Kano, I think is how you pronounce the name, Kano, something like that. Yeah, Kanto, something like that.
Yeah, Kanto. Yeah, the assassin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then after he was trying to have like a Doctor Strange, like, I came here to bargain with M. Draken, with the girl, because they both were like, hey, come join my side. Let's go Darkseid. Like, nah, we shouldn't do that. And then my dude just kept trying to escape, because he's good at escaping, as people know. So it's like he just kept trying to find a way out, and that mother box, it continued saving him at the best time because.
Yeah, Scott. Every time, bro.
I love that when he goes to the Justice League, he asks the Mother Box, "Send me to some friends." Mother Box like, "You don't have any."
I was like,
right?
"You know what I mean."
I'm like, why are you roasting him while he about to die? Oh,
I was like, to get out of danger. Don't ridicule. Don't add more salt into the wound. Come on now.
That line got me laughing. Like Scott's like, "Girl, you know what I mean? Just get me out of here. Like, don't talk about my friends here. Like, I know I don't got any. I got a wife. That's all I got." So
and basically, he's like, I'm married. Leave me alone.
Even though I can't really see her.
Basically.
You know?
Yo,
but I love her. At least I have a love of my own. It's like, but you ain't got friends, my nigga.
I don't want to jump. I don't want to jump.
Distant lovers.
But when she came in and gave those hands. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
When she came in, I was like, let's whip them hands, put the stick out, burn them, and let you get them. Let's go. I was just happy. I was like, amazing. But go on.
But yeah, and I love that this chapter ends on like this epic fucking double spread of the Anti-Monitor and his army, Darkseid and his army, and you just have the Justice League just standing off to the side, just
kind of like
spectators. Like, what
like,
do we do?
Yeah, it's like, well, do we fight for one side? I mean, we can't really fight for the other side.
Again, the story of Odysseus, dog, yes. Wonder Woman is so fucking good. Yo, it was flames. It was flames because then it's like, hey, we fighting on one side, and it's like, doesn't mean that they your friends, and it's like, yo, we gotta fight them too, and we don't really know who we're fighting for because we don't know which one is right. Do we go with the dark side that we know, who is trying to enslave us all? Or this guy who's apparently going to bring about the same result. It was such, and coming from Wonder Woman's perspective, I thought was so ideal because her words were wise. It was like, it made you sit there and like, damn, like, which side, who do you root for in this conflict? Who are you hoping to win? The evil that you know or the evil you don't know?
The one that wants to destroy all life and the other that wants to rule all life. Yeah,
it's just like, which one do you go for? And it's like, yo, either way, it's a lose-lose.
You both getting out on both sides.
It was so dope and seeing the fight. And of course, when Grail pulled up again, oh my God, she was still kicking ass.
It was basically like, they knew they was gonna lose, but it's like, but we gotta fight anyway. You know, it's like you're gonna play that team where you know they gonna whoop your ass, but it's like, well, I mean, we still gotta play.
Yeah, you know, you still gotta suit up and do something.
So I was like, oh yeah, I think y'all knew. And then Grail came back, and I'm like, oh yeah, y'all definitely.
Once Grail came back, it don't matter who you fight for.
I'm like, you saw what she did last time. You saw what she did last time. I'm like, okay. Now she really about to put you in a body bag. All right.
Oh my goodness, she was talking big shit too. Came out talking, but she's like, all right, who's next? He's like, oh, Trevor, Steve, how you doing? I'm gonna need you.
She's
later.
like, I'm gonna need. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna talk to you later.
You on my list, but for the time being, let me handle all these folks first, and then I'm gonna get to you, baby.
I will say, Jessica was interesting. Like Jessica was like, because they were like, how we gonna get between them? It's like Godzilla and King Kong fighting. And she's like, I think I can. And they're like, shut up.
But Ray's like, you gonna die a painful ass death.
They're like,
you gonna get your ass effed up.
They were like, no. Jessica?
Jessica from around the block, Jessica?
Oh, man.
Short hair, dark Jessica? You sure?
She's like, yeah, I can try. And I love the ring. The ring talking shit the whole time. It's like, hey,
yo, seriously though.
The ring, I had to give it the two tops, the ring and Scott's mother box, which is giving the whip a back talk to each of the character. Like, no, just you don't got friends. And Jessica Ring is like, no, you can't do it. Just give up. Just shut up. You know, just die. I mean, you're gonna die.
Well, to be fair, we learned eventually, like, the reason the ring, because the ring is sentient, like it was actually a being,
the whole time.
But at the time it was just like, why y'all?
I don't know,
so petty? Like,
I'm looking at her construct though. If you look at her construct, Jessica's messed up, bro. Like, there's absolutely something wrong.
Well, remember, the thing was
Jessica doesn't have a great mindset.
Yeah, well, I'm talking, and then the way they built her character was like, this was the first time they really gave you a conflicted character, like a damaged character. Because It was her whole journey.
I would say a regular person with trauma that becomes a hero. Yes.
Yeah, because if I'm correct,
better than similar to Batman, but like hers was more personable. It was more relatable. You know?
Oh, absolutely. Way
more.
Like I would say than
Green
most
Lantern
folks.
Rebirth storyline. Fire. You gotta.
I mean, see, the reason why I was upset with that, it was like, why couldn't you just let Jessica be by herself? I didn't like that she had to be tied to Simon.
Around. Yeah.
Well, I just wanted it to be Jessica, but like I get it with the ring and how it was split, but it's like still
split and everything. Because I feel like with Jessica, it worked out well as a character because people can relate that it's a character that goes through anxiety and depression and has gone through a trauma, and a lot of people can relate to that. With Simon Bass, he has something similar with family problems at home and everything. So I feel like those two things people can relate to. That's why they put them together as a new dynamic.
Especially when you think about what the power is. This power is you're supposed to have control over your will. You're supposed to be like,
strong will
together.
Right.
And you're having these two people who struggle with that, and it impacts, but yet the ring still is drawn to them. Like they still qualify. And now they're struggling on their journey of being a Green Lantern. And it just felt so human. It really did. That's why I enjoyed it. I do get it. Like, didn't have to pair them together and make them like a duo, but the storytelling was still good. And then their personal like character development, I did enjoy. I really did enjoy.
I mean, I guess she had more learning to do as like being a lantern, right?
Yeah.
So she needed guidance.
I mean, being a hero in general.
That too,
I think it was what it was. Then on top of being a space cop, it's like, do I even want to be a space cop? Like the ring chose me, but like, do I want to be this? Like, am I even good enough to do this? Like imposter syndrome supreme. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you mean, so now I'm somebody like Kyle Rayner and Hal Jordan. And then they look at Guy, not you. And like I keep going. But no, she does. She intervenes, but then it's quickly messed up by Darkseid being like, "Hey, I'm tired of this shit."
So yeah, Darkseid is like, bring him in.
Yeah, he's like calling the boy, and he's like, "Oh yeah, here comes the Black Racer," and I'm like, first of all, not okay with that name. I was saying out loud for the first time in a long time. I'm not okay with that name. Could have called it anything else, but he's the Black Racer. Okay, bro.
Well, I mean, he's the god of death.
Yeah.
Reaper is
they
black, I guess.
They could have just called it death. Death is here. Because I mean, that's essentially what happened when he showed up.
What, Death Racer?
Yeah.
Just drop the racer. It's corny.
It was, but it was just like, yo, when you saw how it was like, shit, this man ain't no joke still. And that's why I made the tie-in also real fun to really understand just how badass Death was, and especially how badass the Flash was. But I really, and it was so great because at this point we now know what makes Mobius, Anti-Monitor, what he was, and it's like, yo, this is what Darkseid has been searching for,
always wanted, bro.
And now we find out that, yo, this is serving as a ploy, and he's going to use it against you, use your ultimate weapon against you, and fuck you up. I was like, yo, again, I'm always team Darkseid, but when I was like, so it is. I have no complaints. I was satisfied. with the result of that fight. I said, if this is the way it goes, this is how it goes.
I will say, though, he called out the Black Racer and then he missed. Like, he grazed him. I was like, come on, bro. You call your best boy and he missed. I mean, because I think that was supposed to be a killing shot and he missed.
It was supposed to be.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's unfortunate.
And then we saw what happened. It's like, hey, I'm glad you brought it. And Grail was like, oh, he's going to call. Said, don't worry, big dog. I know what my dad's going to do. He's going to call him. Don't worry. Just wait on it. Wait. Grail, again, showing off how badass and showing how much more calculated she was to go up against her father. Like, let's keep this in mind. This was a game of chess, really, between Grail and Darkseid. Without Darkseid realizing who really was moving the pieces.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he knew that his daughter was up to something, but he didn't understand, really, like, yo, this shorty set me up. And then, of course...
Well, I mean, he multiple times he'd gone like, yeah, she's up with something, but she's my daughter. Is essentially what he says. He's like, yeah, but she's my daughter. Obviously she wouldn't like doing something wild, right? And she's my kid.
And then of course, when you read Wonder Woman Rebirth, you be like, that game of chess is still continuing, baby.
I will say the Black Racer design is really, really cool.
Oh yeah,
it is cool. But it's
cool
much cooler when Barry becomes the god of death.
Yes.
Oh my god.
I mean, just that panel too, right? Like just like seeing Barry in the back, and then the transformation into the Flash, the God of Death. Like I thought that was dope.
And plus, I love the dialogue between the God of Death and Barry, like just talking about death, and like that death is always part of the journey. Like it's a cycle. Like just having that dialogue or taking monologue of death is really dope.
I mean, it still looked really like it looks badass. And then he's like, I don't know. There's something about these transformations into these new gods where I'm like, oh no, this works because Barry accepts it. He's like, no,
unlike the others,
I want this. Exactly. He's like, no, with this, I can see all of it. Like I move faster than literally everything now. I'm like,
and how many times, even with his speed, he wasn't fast enough, you know, to save people.
Well, I mean,
now
because what was he trying to save people from? Death. And now he's like, now I got them both. I'm fast, and I'm literally dead. So I'm like, ooh, this was a good. That's why I said his tie-in was actually my favorite, straight up. I loved it. So
yeah,
because then he realizes I'm like, actually, I still want to be a person. And I'm like, good point.
Good point.
Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff that comes out of Chapter 4. Like, just getting that scene between Hal and Batman, just being on Mobius's home planet and just learning everything about him, how he went to the crime syndicate's universe and killed 5 billion people instantly and just have been on a wave of destruction ever since.
I mean, he killed the CW verse. That's what that was.
Yeah,
it was. Yeah,
Calabac versus Grail. That fight was dope in this chapter.
That was dope.
Grail completely
that was one of my
his
favorites.
Eyeballs. Like,
yeah,
what?
He was like, I gouged out the eye sockets of my enemies and crushed their limbs. She's like,
good idea.
Yeah, and I'm like,
let me do that.
I'm like,
and he said, I can still smell you, sister. I'm like,
because mind you, the way they painted Calabac was basically he was a juggernaut. Like he didn't care, friend or foe. He is going to do what he can because he likes it.
Yep.
And I was keep in mind, he was always like for Calabac. It's like I do this for myself.
Him. I mean, because think about it. His dad locked him up.
Yeah.
He jailed him because they couldn't control him. So nope. This is for me, not for him.
It was lit. So that fight was good, and of course, Grail was going to win. Grail is a superior sister. She's a superior sibling, only second to me.
Again, really OP. Of course, she was going to win.
Yeah, man. Just watching Darkseid and Mobius fight each other, like this is seriously a clash of titans. Like
Titans, like the Titans of this universe. Straight up.
Again, this is why it's a top 5 DC storyline. Like, yo, how often can you tell a story of a clash of titans like this and do it well?
I would say top 5 fights, storylines.
Yeah.
Top 10.
Yeah. Top 10 for sure.
It's really good, man. Like the first time I was reading it, I did not see it coming because everything that I've known from like the anti-life equation, it's never been like a part of someone in this way, right? So for Batman and GL to find out simultaneously as the rest of us are finding out, oh no, I'm this way because the anti-life equation fused with me and it wants death on a universal level. Right. And I love the way that he was able to change the Black Racer and Barry, creating something else in order to defeat Darkseid in one move, which I did not see coming on any level.
Because again, like you mentioned, well, we learned later that there's two ways to use the anti-life equation. And we learned that Grail is after the second way. But in it itself, that's why he was able to fuse the Death Racer and Flash because of what the anti-life equation could do. Like, keep in mind, it can still control all life. And so it was like, yo, that's what I'm waiting on you, Darkseid. You're going to bring about the tool of your death, of your destruction. Bring it forth. anti-life equation does that, you're like, oh shit, because again, we've only seen it used in one way. Now we get to see its exact capabilities and truly understand that, had Darkseid had this shit, oh my gosh.
Oh, it was a wrap.
Yeah.
Like, we thought we knew what would happen? No. Now we really know.
I mean, because knowing what we know about Darkseid, like he permeates existence. Like, Darkseid will always exist as a god. You know, it's just like you can't truly kill him. He can't truly be in one place because he's too powerful to truly be all in one place. That's the ridiculous nature of it. It's like, they killed this, like, essentially avatar for him, but he'll be back. Like, it's just he is inevitable. Like, literally.
Yeah. He is literally a force of nature to the point where his existence breaks reality enough that Mobius is able to tear himself apart from the anti-life equation. Yep. And then the universe, trying to fix itself for the hole that Darkseid left, created the new gods in the Justice League, which is insane.
I did love that. That was an amazing plot point. I was like, like, but it also shows you once again how powerful he is, because him dying created a void, a vacuum, where it had to that forced the universe to fill itself immediately.
Yeah.
With the people who were most suitable and most powerful at the time. I was like, oh wow, this is wild. You know, I don't remember if they ever explained why Diana didn't get one. I don't remember. And I think it's because she's like half god. I think it's because she's half god. Like she's a demigod. And so they were like, you're already a god, essentially.
Yeah, I guess.
But I did like the fact that they did it, because you still needed it. It would have changed. It had to still be told through her. But then again, it successfully highlighted a couple of characters, and then unsuccessfully, i.e. Shazam, you know.
By the way, there's one thing that they kind of like mulled over, where I was like, what the... When Grail first shows up, and I don't know, maybe this is the second time, when she's fighting Diana, and she breaks off her gauntlets, and she goes, Mama says you're strong without him, and then that's it. And I'm like, you mean to tell...
I'm like, it's something that they've played on. Like, those gauntlets are like a power limiter.
They very much are. They basically like keep in her god power that she doesn't know how to control, because they never taught her how to control it.
Yeah. And
so I was just kind of like, so y'all just gonna wash over that like it's nothing?
Because they don't like to play on the fact that like there's some magic. Again, we explore that later. Again, Wonder Woman Rebirth. Y'all need to.
I know. I'm just like, y'all just gonna glaze over that like it's nothing. I'm like, you have now max power Diana just out here chilling. Okay, cool. But no, I was like, but you know, that going forward again now, because I was thinking about that. I was like, oh yeah, they did do that, and I was like, come on, man, come on. So I really do hope that us talking about this makes y'all go and pick up Wonder Woman Rebirth, like for real.
Yeah,
honestly,
please do.
Like, I'm hoping that you're taking, like, not only are you like, I hope that you go and read this for yourself, but that you do pick up the Rebirth run of Wonder Woman. Like, worth it. I mean, of all the stories, I feel like it's the one that is the most, you get the most instant payoff from this is in that story.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I would say like the biggest takeaway from chapter 5 is when Lex gets the Omega effect.
Yeah,
like, I thought that was dope, man, because we get the legend of how the what was it again?
Well, it was supposed to be the legend of a human that was supposed to come and save them from Krypton. They said it. I was like, so I think they knew. I think they knew that he wasn't. She knew that wasn't Clark, and she was just like, "Well, you're what we got." And you say, if you say what you are, it's like, you know, you kind of, if you say what you are and you believe it enough, that's what you are at that moment. And it's like,
and okay, again, whatever. When he takes it in, if he can't, then he'll die.
And that's exactly what she said. Yeah. She was like, "Yeah, if you can't, he'll die." But so I was like, "Well,
if you can't, well, yeah, shit. All right, we here now. Let's move. Let's ride."
It's like, we need somebody, so I guess it's you.
Let's get it popping.
So I was like, yeah, okay, cool, whatever. I mean, Lex is now uglier than I thought he could be. You're hella ugly.
I thought it was a good mix, because he looks a lot like Darkseid, but very Lex-like at the same time.
Which is ugly.
What you mean,
because
why are you defending Lex?
He's got it wrong.
Yes,
like, look how Lex had to have Darkseid's design, Superman's logo,
Yep.
And it was like, hey, now we have Lex in like his ultimate form, and it's like, damn, you still
pretending to be everybody and he's not.
Right. I thought that was dope. It was dope. It's like, look, Lex, you try your hardest, but still, you're chasing after literal titans and gods.
Yep. So y'all want to roll into the next chapter?
Yeah, let's hit chapter 6.
All right, so
Barda shows up.
Ding dong, Darkseid's dead. But his kids are still there, and they're like, we still about to fight y'all. He's like, y'all think we just gonna stop because they're dead? No, we about to whoop y'all ass.
They said for Darkseid, they said just because our dad died don't mean that we're gonna stop fighting.
Isn't that when Caliban finally switched up, or is that later?
That was about then. Like he was like,
so
hey,
then he was like, hey, now he
ain't even here.
Yeah, he said for Darkseid, we still go F y'all niggas up.
Yeah, like, he's like, we will find the anti-monitor ourselves for Calabac and for my father for Darkseid.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, Calabac.
Now they serious. Y'all better run. Y'all don't want this smoke from Hey, Darkseid may be gone, but they still ready to.
I do think they was about to have a bad time, but then Scott's wifey shows up and he's like, "Oh, thank God!" It was hilarious. The relief in his face. He's like, "Oh, thank God!"
Dude, I love Barda, man.
God. Yes,
I love Barda.
Yo, she's the sweetest and she's loyal to him, and I love that. Like she literally gave the hands, but also gave the hands to all
the hands, bro. Barda the baddie.
It's just well done, and the way she just came and fought all of them in the Furies, and how she said that we're supposed to be on our honeymoon, and he said like we're not supposed to see each other. Why are you here? Like, well, we're supposed to be on our honeymoon. We're supposed to be together, and like, but at the same time having fun and just kicking everybody's ass with the stick and everything, and it's just so well done.
She is the ultimate warrior. Like, I love the stories where Barda and Wonder Woman get to fight because it's like, who's gonna win? You know what I mean? You never know for sure who's gonna win.
Very factual.
Yeah, but this is also where we get a little bit more of the crime syndicate, right?
Yep, yeah, this is about where they basically like, hey, by the way, Anti-Monitor, he's gone, but like we still got to worry about these folks. Like they're still here and they know more about him than anybody else because they kind of fought him, and so they're like, well, I guess we got to go see what they know.
As if that was going to do anything.
Yeah, if that was going to be a good idea, first of all.
Yeah,
but I'm like, they're literally the evil versions of you.
Also, in this chapter, we got the gods of gods. Did y'all care for that?
No, because he did
Shazam
nothing.
Didn't do anything.
He legit did nothing. He was useless the whole time.
Wait, who?
Exactly. Like, I know you love
that was my only thing.
I really do, but like that's why when I said that, hey, they decided to make some guys, they helped some others, and then they didn't. I was talking about Shazam. I just didn't want to
listen. Look, Shazam just wasn't good in this at all. Like, he just wasn't.
He was,
and I'm like, I was like, okay.
And then he had a moment, and Grant was like, "Shut that down." Later on,
immediately, she's like, "Stop that!"
Like,
no. It's like you're a kid. Sit down.
Yeah, but I love that. I love that every chapter just shows how much like Grail was prepared, how much of a plan that she had.
She was so far ahead.
While Mobius is in this cocoon, she's waiting for the perfect moment to pull the anti-life equation out of Mobius so that she can become the goddess of anti-life, because she has a plan for everything.
So this is where I agree with Ray. I wish we had the prologue of her to know where did she get all this knowledge, or where did she get all these details? Like, where was her handy book to know how prepared she was? Because I love us seeing it happen, but I would have loved for us to see how did she prepare all this full preparation to know for Darkseid, for all how to take out Batman, how to take out Cyborg and everybody else. Like, how did she know to be such a good tactician?
They implied it.
They did.
With her Jeridel, like, her mom basically raised her up to be the ultimate weapon. So when you're trained by an assassin, you're going to learn all the techniques that you need to. You're going to do the due diligence because her mom, that's what her mama was. Like, yeah, it would have been fun to get a couple of issues. Definitely would have been fun to see exactly the extent she was willing to go. But, for me, it was like, I understand. Well, I'm here to see you in your final form. So let's get shit crafted, you feel me?
it's just wild to see that this whole chapter 6 was literally just carrying the entire equation. And also, we did speak about it behind the scenes, but how do we feel about the art style? Like, I just want to actually have it on the live and everything. Like, how do we feel about the change of the art style in chapter 5 and 6? And
I like it. I think it's still really
like
good, but it's not as good as Jason's artwork, in my opinion.
I still enjoyed it. To me, it was continuing, and it didn't take away, it didn't ruin, it didn't distract, and so I enjoyed it a lot. First part, and when we had to change, I still enjoyed it.
Yeah. So let's hit chapter 7, where we get Batman and GL at Ace Chemicals. Now, I love anything with Batman. Anything you get me with Batman and Joker, like you got me. But I just love him being in Ace Chemicals, just trying to figure it all out, like trying to get the answers about the Joker being in the place where he was created. What did you guys think about that?
Batman is weird. Like he is weird, bro. I'm like, so this where you go to think, huh?
Yeah. It was like, yo, we got all this stuff happening, and of course we see later when he's like, oh snap, we got a big threat. It's like, oh, they're about to do that.
I'm like,
Superman again.
And I don't know. This was a weird moment for me because I'm like, all right, Batman, you're a god, and you still thinking like you're still thinking of the Joker, like. And I'm like, so did you really become a god, or did you just come a more potent Batman?
That's what it was.
Right.
It was really just showing that when
it's just really
ability.
Exactly. It showed the limitations of Bruce, to be honest, because he chose to just go back and protect Gotham.
Yeah.
He could have done so much more.
That's the mission. He has to finish that mission first before he can move on to something else.
I don't think he would ever move on though.
He saved more people in days than he's done in 6 months. You know what I mean?
Which is good. So but that's what I'm saying. I don't think he would ever think he was done. Like it would have to be perfect.
I mean, that shows you the obsession he has.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly
go read that Batman tie-in, by the way. His conversation with Commissioner Gordon in that issue. Amazing.
Yes. I was just like, hey, I'm like, Batman just became a stronger Batman, which isn't a bad thing.
Which I like.
It's just like, I'm like,
because not even this godlike power could change him.
All this knowledge in the world, bro, and you were like, nah, I still got to figure some stuff out for me. And I'm like, hey, okay. Godlike power, but I got to figure out some stuff. Literally, I got to sort out my own stuff first.
Yeah. And then I love this fight between Superman and Wonder Woman, right? Like, even with all of Superman's new amazing powers, Diana was still able to use the lasso to bring it back.
And I'm like, I mean, and she didn't say it, but she's like, I have feelings for Clark. That's why she was like, look, I got to bring you back because this ain't you, and I know that.
I love when Steve asked her, so what are you and Clark? What are you Superman? And Steve was like, are you guys friends with benefits? Are you guys fuck buddies? So I love how Steve was trying to, dive into a conversation.
Don't ask questions you don't want the answer to.
Right? And then Clark showed up was like, you mean?
What you mean?
On site. He's like, you rang my
am I interrupting?
Right? He you asked for me?
I was like ex-boyfriend meeting the new boyfriend, like, oh boy.
Because Steve was literally about to say, I will always have feelings for you. I will always be in love with you. But he couldn't finish that line because literally Superman came at the right second saying, bitch, are you trying to take my woman from me? What you mean?
And then the dialogue that Wonder Woman was, the internal dialogue while she was fighting Clark, is just like, damn,
it was beautiful.
Low-key, we don't even know if she fuck with you that heavy. It's like, ooh. Mm-hmm. Ooh, Trevor, you might have, you know what? You didn't want to know the answer, but you already got the ball rolling, baby. Mm-hmm. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. Again, top 5 storyline.
I mean, I remember people saying they didn't like Clark and Diana together, and it's like, the thing is, it can absolutely work.
It can.
You just have to give it like space for it to make sense, because think about it. They are two of literally the strongest people in the world.
And they work together all the time.
And not only that, they have very similar like interests and goals. But they also like have a whole different like mythos and like sociology to dissect and understand being as powerful as they are. And I feel like they definitely could have done that to Clark. That would have been a very interesting Clark Kent. One who decided to learn about the super part of the man. You know, they always delve
Very
into
well
the man.
said. But
I'm like,
well said.
I'm like, yeah, it's fine. He grew up a man, but what does he want to become? He can be more than a man.
Yep.
Yeah.
So why do you call yourself Superman, bro? Like they could have gone into that, and they don't. So I digress.
Yeah. So I mean, Wonder Woman saves Superman, and then we get we switch over to Belle Reve prison with Cyborg, Miracle Man, Jessica, and Barda, and they're trying to break out Ultraman, right? Because they know that Ultraman, Superwoman, they would maybe have the answers, something that could tell them how do we defeat the Anti-Monitor, right? And I love that he looks all like shriveled up and messed up, much like Superman did in Flashpoint. So I thought that was a really cool, a nice little parallel that they did. What did you guys
think? What happens? He's got a kryptonite withdrawal. So yeah.
My favorite
he's a whole crackhead, yo. He's a whole crackhead.
My favorite creepy line is when Superwoman says, "The baby is trying to sleep." Just the line of her face.
Oh no, that was very creepy.
And just her holding the pregnant baby, like just like right there, like that. I'm like, and her just singing a whole lullaby throughout the whole time. Oh, it's just like, nah.
Like I kept listening. I was like, wait, this is a normal lullaby, but why does it sound so wrong? Like, why?
Right. No, it sounds evil.
It was the way it was delivered, and I loved it. It was.
Mama's gonna steal you a mockingbird, and if it don't,
that's a real
I'm gonna steal you a diamond ring.
Yeah, that's a normal.
But the way I read it, I was like, yo, I'm expecting something to go sideways real quick, but it's like, no, this is the same lullaby that people actually sing to their children. But this don't sound jolly or happy.
And it's also what's happening at the same time too, right? People are losing their lives.
Exactly.
Mobius is also being reborn at the same time that it's happening. So it's all super weird.
It is, but I thought it was really well done. It was like the atmosphere they set up when they do that. I was like, oh yeah, this is creepy because they make it creepy. It's not because they changed anything about it. It's just the setting they put it in. It's the context that was important.
And then the smile on her face too.
Oh yeah,
it made it super creepy.
She knew exactly what was happening. Once again, we have another woman who's like, "Oh yeah, I know exactly what's happening. Y'all just shut up and just y'all see." I'm like, "Uh-oh, here we go." And then she started blasting. So
she said, "Ta."
But I love the Mobius. I love the Mobius reveal. Like it's crazy how like Apocalypse's design is like so similar to this as well. But I love the design of Mobius on that panel right there. And then Owlman shows up. I love Owlman, right? There's moments where I like Owlman more than Bruce. If I'm being honest.
I feel like that's done on purpose because Owlman, they needed to make him more interesting in certain aspects. Yeah. And I mean he's much more calculated than Bruce.
But
like you said, he has to be.
I mean, he's the only one that just like dipped when everything, like when they lost, he was like, all right, I'm gonna go back and be like, and they couldn't find him. They couldn't find Owlman. He was just gone.
And he comes to them. He's like, all right,
yes, exactly. He was like, I've been watching y'all, so I know it's time. I'm like, dang.
What I love about Owlman is that he also, like what James and Ray said, Abe, is that Owlman accepted what happened to their parents and moved on and became better with that. Not like Bruce, Batman hold on and has that.
Everybody handles trauma differently.
I mean, Owlman still wants to save Gotham, you know?
Right, exactly.
But still wants to save Gotham, but he doesn't cling onto like Bruce's version of Batman. Owlman accepted in a better version of it. So that's why
they also have different.
I mean, he didn't have a choice. He honestly didn't really have a choice. It just kind of happened, and he knew it was bigger than him, and so that's why he was like I think it's that he knows and accepts that things are bigger than Gotham and chooses to go for the higher piece to protect Gotham, rather than Batman is like, yeah, I'll protect Gotham at all costs, and I'll do this other stuff because I know I have to, not because I want to. So I feel like that's a big difference between them. Yeah. Owlman will be real quick to admit he's wrong. So
another thing, like the Justice League and the Crime Syndicate teaming up, I expected a little bit more.
I did too. It was very short lived.
Yeah.
Super short.
I think it lived half a chapter.
I think it was just this one issue.
Yeah.
I think it was just this one issue of chapter 7.
So I'm like,
No,
no combo moves, nothing.
No, it's like, you're
I
dead.
mean, they tried it, and then Ultraman was like, "Get out my way!
Ultraman's
I can do this."
And then
he
got body.
deserved it.
And
He got
then
body.
he got killed. Or
He got body
I
immediately.
was like, they
did he
took
get
that
killed
act
or
right
destroyed or
Oh no,
erased?
he was dead immediately.
don't
Well,
exist no more.
Okay, so he was erased technically, right?
But yeah,
Mobius absorbed
snapped
his
him
life force.
That's what. Okay, yeah. Cool.
He got 8.
up. Mobius said, "Oh, all right, so let's handle you then, since you talking big stuff. So here you go. Come here. Oh no, you don't think I can hurt you? Let me show you real pain." And then Ultraman is begging. He's like, "Wait, stop!
I love
stop,
it. He
don't
was
do
he
this."
was like, "Oh, Superman, I don't need your help," and knocked Superman out the way. And I'm like, first mistake. That's a god. You should have let the gods fight.
He's still the god of strength.
uh,
It was rough.
he got in a few licks though.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's like, why did you think you would be able to do it by yourself? And then when you get beat, you're begging for help like a little baby.
Because he's that's what a cocky Kryptonian's like. That one right there. That's what we don't want Superman to be like. But y'all always like, yeah, Superman should be like this. No, this is
Nah,
Ultraman
not
is
at all.
literally the reason why you don't want somebody like that. Straight up, you just don't.
And
But
I love and hate that Barry can't do anything, right? Because death is inevitable; it has to happen. And he, even if he wants help, he can't do anything. What were you gonna say?
yeah,
Matt?
he's stuck.
I was gonna say, I love how in the chapter we get the John Stewart and the other Green Lantern Corps. So I love how we get the introduction of them and the nice panel when they ask who's that and they say it's backup. So it's just nice to see John Stewart and everyone else here. So I love that.
And then they get their ass whooped.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's always
we get
sad
it.
watching
I'm
Green
just happy.
Lanterns die for me, man. If I'm being honest, it's
Listen,
always sad for me.
Remember how we
weird.
talked about?
I'm
Remember last
confusing.
night?
Did it with
We
the
talked
wings
about that
flying
post
off
last
like,
night.
oh my god, it was beautiful.
Most useless attacks. Hey, bro, I'm putting the Green Lantern on that list too, bro. They always show up and get their ass whooped.
Yeah, man.
That's why.
like-
That's why I say I'm confused because the DC Comics put them in a high pedestal, Hal Jordan and Larry John Stewart, and they say of how this high spectrum of the Red Lanterns, Green Lanterns, and the White Lanterns of how powerful it is. But then somehow in every time, in every tie-in or
They're like
in every
free
crisis,
will. Get that out.
somehow the lanterns in some version, the lanterns, the white or the green or the blue even, get kicked in so fast. I'm like,
Oh no,
aren't you
not the white,
supposed to
not
be?
the white. Not
Okay,
the white.
sorry.
Yeah, not the white, but yeah, the other colors end up.
Yeah, the other
just
colors
pulling up and
get whipped so fast within a chapter or within a couple pages, and I'm like, so why do we hype them up so much in the comics? I just get them confused. I'm like,
It's because
it's very
Kyle.
disappointing.
It's because they never let Kyle come do his job. The
but
greatest
also
lantern of all
they
time.
They do have good lore too, and you can explore.
I think that's it. They have great
That-
lore.
Yeah.
But it's just that they don't do much with power-wise. Like,
Yeah.
they have
Now,
such
when it
good
comes
lore.
to Justice League team ups, we don't care about the Green Lantern. But when it comes to solo runs, yeah, we get.
Oh,
Green
they're
Lantern.
amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's why I
yeah.
wish that they would let Kyle join the Justice League.
Yeah.
Let Kyle join. We don't need. I mean, listen, John's great, but if you really want, if you want
John's
some
the
strong,
best, man.
if you want some like somebody who's powerful, get Kyle in there.
But
I still say that John is the best Green Lantern. You know, but Kyle is the most powerful. It used to be Hal.
Mhm.
Now Hal has the strongest will, but the strongest lantern is Kyle.
Thanks to
God, because he
Thanks to
got-
Blackest Night for that.
yeah,
Mhm.
because of the White Lanterns too in there. So
Well, I mean, he
but-
controls like he's basically the spectrum.
Yeah, he
So,
is the
yeah.
whole spectrum.
Getting the white allows you to be in full
Mhm.
control, so it was dope.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was another good chapter because again, like I mentioned, what I really loved was that the Green Lanterns were getting bodied, their rings were flying off, like, hey, we're about to go search, and I was just
That's
like,
what makes it really
what it's
sad,
showing.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like, damn.
that's always sad. I'm thinking about it. It's like, oh yeah, bro, when they die, their rings like, all right, bye.
Yeah, it's like we still got work
Find
to
your
do.
replacement. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The office don't close, baby.
I'm like that. I'm like that is sad. I'm like, oof.
it is.
Yeah.
And then Lex shows up to get into the fight. So this is another
Booty
tie-in
butt-ass
that I
naked.
highly recommend you guys read. I think the Lex tie-in was really good as well.
It was good.
But I love this design where he shows up. And I mean, he gets a couple blows in on Mobius, but not too many.
No, I mean just enough to be like, yeah, I did something. You know. So I'm like, okay. That's fine.
And then at the end of the chapter, we get Steve about to get raped in a way.
No.
Well, in a way, I'm saying like not really, but in a way, because he just has Grail just have hands for you. So it just in the end of the chapter, it kind of looks like it, but then it's not really. Is what I'm saying. Sorry.
I don't think
because
I don't think you know what that means. No, he just got kidnapped.
Yeah, because Grail thinks he's the chosen one, which you will learn he is not.
Yeah, he is not. Nope, it's not him.
Yeah, but let's hit chapter 9, The Darkness Within. I love this, and like the first panel that we get out of this is the Jessica art inside of the power ring. Absolutely amazing.
Which I like that. See that's what I'm saying. The Green Lantern stuff has like really cool lore. It really does. I'm like, this ring is basically its own power core. And
yeah,
I'm
man,
like,
and like the dark ring, like what it's able to do, like the ring preys on the fearful, leads them to death, swallows their souls, and then search for its next victim. When I read that, I was like, God damn.
I'm like, that's cool as hell, but also terrifying. It's like, yeah, I'll give you some power, but I'm gonna eat you.
Yeah, I'll give you some power, and then I'll trick you into leading you down a path to death, steal your soul, and then send the ring to someone else.
Yep. I was like, oh boy, yeah, I love that. But and then Power Rings there. He's like, hey, you can't leave, man. Because if you leave, he'll come back and bully me. And I'm like, oh, shut up.
He'll burn out my eyeballs.
Again, this was a great, like, and the next time we see a dark way to use this ring again is in Death Metal with that version of Batman. But I like that they introduce a dark side of this ring. It's like, hey, we think this ring is pure, especially when it comes to the green ring. It's like, hey, it's just strong will. People with strong will are positive. And if they go bad, well, you know, that's how we got some that show in the other colors, you know? But this time it's like, yeah, I'm still green, mug, but hey, we twisted over here. Like, ain't nothing sweet on this side of town. And I was like, that. I rock with that. I rock with that a whole very much. And again, another reason, like you mentioned, another reason why Green Lantern solo runs are so good, despite the group drawings being like, is because all this lore. Like you're giving us great material that we can later explore, and then they do a good job of exploring it too. I will say that
they dive deep.
Exactly. It's just like, yo, you're giving me Green Lantern solo runs have ideally. I don't want, because Wonder Woman stories are dope, but Green Lantern just, I guess because you have so much more. Whereas with Wonder Woman, you're still exploring what you kind of know, and you're just adding on to the mythos of the Greek gods and whatnot. But with Green Lantern, you're creating a whole new lore. Like, we're going to space. We're just giving you stuff that you never even imagined, and that's why it's like one of the top solo runs for me when it comes to DC Comics. Really,
I feel you.
Yeah, really good, man. I also love that we get more of Grail's backstory throughout this entire run. We just get little tidbits here and there, and I love that we see a little bit more of their escape from Themyscira. They land in Man's World against the Romans. And then they immediately try to grab her, and she's like, nah, we're not going to play
and
this.
she starts whooping him, and then the baby's like, hey, hold up.
Dude, touch my mama? Mega beams, bro.
Immediately.
As a baby.
The baby was like,
yeah, I'm going to show him
touch my mama? Oh, no, don't touch my mama.
And then we proceed to get to like, yeah, you know, her mom tried to raise her to be this weapon for Darkseid, but also to control, and you're not your father. And then she struggled with, I am my father. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
I mean, then she also found out real quick, she's like, hey, yo, this kid is scary. And I'm like, yeah.
So much so, remember when she pulled up on mama, and that's why the Griffin was there?
Yeah,
that's why she's known as the Conqueror Griffin, because her mama needed like extra security, and it was not lost on Grail too. It did not get lost on her.
I mean, Grail's like, oh yeah, that thing never liked me anyway. Like, well, I think there's a reason why.
Yeah, Grail knew.
You
like,
know
the
why?
only reason this is here is because my mom couldn't even feel safe around me. Like I tried to kill her, and just showing us her struggle. And I was like, oh, I like this. Even Darkseid's daughter is not perfect, but then we see which side she truly trusts, and then by the end of it, we see like, oh. Again, not perfect.
Not perfect. No, I mean, it was, she had her own plans.
Yeah. Oh, she was always scheming. Oh, man.
And it's just, I was like.
But then we also learned more. You know, like we always viewed Steve as like, oh, yeah, he's the first man. It's like, no.
Not technically.
Not. And it's like, oh, we just going to gloss over that. Like, that's not the truth. And then
because I was trying to think, I was like, well, who was then? Right? Like I was trying to think of who it could be.
And then they tell you later on, I think another issue, if it's not this one, they tell you who it was. And again, that was a fun storyline in Wonder Woman Rebirth. It was a fun one.
Y'all boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man,
I did not expect Grail to use Steve in this way either.
And it was, so I was actually kind of annoyed with this because it was basically just another way to get back at Diana. And I feel like personally, she had no reason to be upset with Diana.
It was more of like a jealousy thing, like, hey,
and that's why I'm like, that's so weird and petty.
But it kind of makes sense because
she's Darkseid's daughter. That's petty enough.
Stop it. They're better than that.
But remember, one was born as a blessing, one was born as a curse. So it's also with jealousy in that aspect.
See, I feel like she played into the prophecy. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, boo! You just did what they told you. You literally did what they said you were gonna do.
But she didn't really care, as long as it meant like death to her father.
Boo!
And
come on, man.
And then even then, it was like, no, we see again that wasn't her original plan. It's like, oh crap,
it was just part of it.
It was It was, she had her own again. True daughter of Darkseid. You think you know what they're planning, but then you really don't.
I guess I want to know when the plan changed, because the plan definitely changed at one point.
Oh, it did.
Because I love that they give us that little tidbit that she used the eye of a witch in order to see certain things on like who could like beat her father and stuff like that. So I love that we got that. That kind of explains like how she was able to plan so well.
And you know what? Now using my context clues, that's how she knew so much about Justice League.
Right.
She also used that for that, I'm sure. Yeah, that makes
very
sense.
Resourceful. Yeah, very resourceful. So I would have been surprised.
Who knew that an eye of a witch would be so potent?
All right.
And I will say, Cyborg did get stuff to do because it at the very end of this chapter and in 10, which we're about to get into, Victor does do a lot of stuff. Without him, Jessica isn't able to escape. She's not able to make the sacrifice, if you will, for Barry and stuff like that. So I mean, Victor does have something to do, unlike Shazam, who really doesn't do anything.
Still does nothing. Nothing.
At this point, absolutely nothing.
But yeah, you're right. Cyborg did play a really big part in this. Like towards the end, he does. So he does get a W, because he does save Jessica. He assists Jessica in saving herself. Truly,
right.
Which I was like, I like this. Good.
So what was some of your favorite moments from chapter 10?
I mean, I like the whole thing with Jessica and her like making the choice. Because she was like, actually, no, I'm scared, but I'm not so scared that I don't want to help my friends.
Right.
I was like, what an anime character. Love Jessica. I did appreciate that.
And to add to that, it just shows that type of human trope of her overcoming her fear and kind of like putting herself as a hero. Like, hey,
well, I think
I'm human, but I need to do what I gotta do to save other people in this world that right now is a crisis. So
I think that's why I like this so much, is because she acknowledged that she was scared and that she will be scared more than this. It's just that now she's choosing to not be as afraid for the benefit of others, which I was like, yes, that is very.
I love that very much. I love that.
I was like, I'm like, wow, I love that. Like, yeah, you go do it. So, but I don't know. It was weird because I thought it was kind of shitty how Power Ring kind of tried to like play on her like emotions and her psyche. It's like, hey, aren't you scared? You'll be safe if you stay here.
Just like me.
Yeah, and I'm like, shut your punk ass. But I was like, yeah, so that's probably my favorite part, to be honest, was like that whole thing of Jessica and then, her basically finding her way out. I really like that. And then with Cyborg saying, hey, I figured out how to do it. And I'm like, oh, Cyborg hacking the whole alien power systems.
Yeah.
Again.
Vash, what were some of your favorite moments from chapter 10?
For chapter 10, like what said, how about Jessica and plus Cyborg? because Cyborg actually, like, as much as we could ask in the beginning about Cyborg, being out of left field and not really doing much, and Scott doing more than what he does because he made his own mother box and everything. I love how Cyborg, aka Victor, actually did something, and that was play a key role with the alien tech, and actually, did a comeback to that.
Abe, any favorite moments you want to mention from that chapter?
From chapter 10, no, my favorite moments, a lot of my favorite moments were earlier and at the very end, at the end of chapter 11, but I just enjoyed chapter 10 as a whole. It just, again, the story, I was sitting there and I was telling myself, I'm like, maybe just one chapter, and it's like, no, I gotta keep going. I can't stop. Like, so.
Yeah, I really like chapter 10 a lot too. Like watching Wonder Woman and Superman fight against Mobius, Superman unleashing all of that energy on Mobius, and it still wasn't enough to defeat him. I thought that was really, really interesting. And getting to see like the real power of how the anti-life equation changed Steve. He destroyed Mobius in one blast.
Yes.
One blast.
I will say that was so. I'm thinking about, by the way, speaking of that one blast, before we go into that, that was the first time we saw one of Superman's new attacks. Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's like the new attack that they talk about later on in Rebirth. But I was like, oh no, he did that before. Here.
I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
Oh, so sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say he does that, and then Superwoman's baby is born,
Yes.
and then we realize what the baby can do. Did not see this coming on any level
No,
whatsoever.
every time it catches me off guard.
Yeah,
I'm just like, oh, okay then.
It said, "Baby, take other people's powers." I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
yeah, and I love that, like the activation word is pretty much Shazam backwards. Very, very interesting that it's able to steal the power of the gods like that.
And even her speech, she's like, "It's not your baby, Owlman. Neither is it yours, Ultraman." It's like,
He knew.
Daddy, because these are like, hey, we kind of expected to be one of these two at
like,
honestly.
And I'm like, when y'all do that?
Right. And then it was like, hey, this is what, and it's like, oh, that's the baby's daddy. I mean, I guess that's the only moment Shazam became relevant for you, Vash.
That's true.
In this moment, because he did something, and it wasn't even his own version. It was actually the evil version from the Crown Syndicate. But at least he was useful some way.
He was piping it somewhere else, I guess that.
Oh, yeah, and it gave us his baby, who then Grell was like, bet, I've been waiting on that little nigga. Let me grab him real quick.
Right? He said,
hold on, shorty. You like,
again, another level to the plan. So let's get into it. Let's just get into the final chapter, the finale.
Let's go.
Let's talk about your favorite moments from this, because there's a lot of stuff that happens in this finale.
Basically, it's just Grell just being like, yeah, y'all all gods now. I know how to deal with that. So like, hey,
she's like, I brought the god killer. I built a god slayer. Essentially, is what she's like. Now it's like, oh, okay.
And then of course, since we're talking about this chapter now, at the very end, you don't know how excited I was to find out that her plan was like, hey, I'm gonna raise Darkseid. I'm gonna raise him up and make him a better person. It's like,
good luck.
I mean, you saw the way Darkseid looked. It was like, but the thing was, then you think back to earlier chapters when we met Baby Grell, and it's like, we're getting the same story all over. Like, Baby Grell, hey, you ain't have to fuck up those bandits who stepped up to your mom, and then they were like, oh,
laughing while she does it.
Yeah, like you wanted it. You think you're gonna have with the god of evil himself, yo, daddy. You saw how it looked on the final page. Darkseid, you could tell he was already plotting. You could tell. And this is why I say, again, read Wonder Woman Rebirth, because you get more of this storyline. They flesh it out even more of Grell and Baby Darkseid's journey. And when you get to that, you're just like, well, I won't spoil it for you. Just get to that.
So I will say one of my favorite parts. I was going back through it. When the lanterns show up, they're like, yeah, we'll help. And Grell's like, y'all best to go. It basically just slaps all of the lanterns at one time. I'm like, oh my God, y'all pull lanterns.
Again, team ups, nah. The Lancers they a dub, dog.
They are definitely. But one of my favorite moments is when Hal actually put the ring on Batman to try to get him back to consciousness. That was one of my favorite moments. Like that was pretty dope. And also when Jessica Cruz came back and got actually chosen, that you have been chosen.
That was an amazing moment.
Welcome to the Green Lantern Corps. I was like, that's amazing. Like, that was beautiful.
And
like,
everybody was confused. They're like, what? Like, she a lantern now? It's like, wait, what's the confusion, dog? Why y'all questioning? I thought, why not? Let's make it happen. Let's make it official. Let's F that ring that she was wearing because that thing was psychotic. Now she got a legit one. Everyone's like, wow, I mean, I'm surprised myself. Like, huh? Okay.
She's like, oh, shit, I got a ring.
One of my favorite moments, Grail killing Superwoman. Didn't see it coming, and then the way the panel looks, I'm like, oh my beautiful. God.
It was, so I will say that was very much The Boys-esque.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah, the baby absorbs Superman's strength, Shazam's strength. Like it's crazy, man.
Well, I mean, and when they tell him who the daddy, when they tell him who the daddy is, and I'm like, well, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of course, it's a Luthor.
Of course.
I was like, yes, here we go. And they were all shook. They were like, oh, dang. She really did trick all us. And I'm like, yeah, she did.
Yeah. Another one of my favorite moments, Barry trying his best to outrun the Black Racer, but can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite lines from Barry that he's like, you know how much it hurts to sit still? I was like, oh, Barry, because he couldn't do nothing.
One of my favorite panels, not really line art thing, is when Lex sits on the throne and literally just says, I think it looks better on me. It's just with the Lex suit of the Superman suit and everything. Like that panel just looks cool.
Yeah, him with a mother box. It does look pretty sick.
Can't stand Lex.
Lex awesome. And then of course we get Barda pulling up again and whatnot.
But saying for Darkseid,
I don't know if I care for the way that was handled. It's like you could have stayed. Did we really need the Furies to win? Did we really? Because Grail kind of does everything.
Right. Like she basically is like, yeah, no, I got this.
Because she makes this sacrifice and now she has to go back to the Furies. Which really sucks. And I also love this new Darkseid design. Like I think it looks sick. Grail did a really good job like redesigning him with the anti-life equation.
Yeah. And it's something that you guys mentioned before when we saw the new Mobius design. Remember after Death Metal, we do get a new design for Darkseid and JL Odyssey that was very Ronin-esque. Ronin from Marvel-esque. I was just like, I wasn't really feeling it then. It kind of had to grow on me. I was like, all right, this is still not a final form Darkseid. This is still like a growing Darkseid to an extent. But this final chapter, baby Darkseid is, man, that's just so wholesome. It is a wholesome moment. I was like, this is cute. Baby Darkseid, this is cute.
Yes, a wholesome moment for literally the god of destruction.
I mean, look, it's just he's a baby. Oh my god,
nasty. You're nasty.
No, I'm good.
You're a baby.
I mean, really, one of my favorite things was just kind of like it went back to the Clark being Clark, or she was like, I'm a god killer, and Clark was like, we were never gods and we never asked to be gods.
Yeah.
It's like, and then now we're not. Basically, it lets you finish the sentence yourself. It's like, we're the Justice League. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, how very
I'm glad they didn't finish it like that.
I know. I'm so glad.
Yeah, because it would have been mad corny. It would have ruined the whole moment. I was like,
yes.
When I read that, I was like, I don't need to finish it. I'm going to finish it right here. That's it. That's good enough for me. I'm not adding nothing to this dialogue because it's actually really good right here. But it was a good one. It was a good one.
How did you guys feel about how Grail ended up destroying Darkseid? Like killing her mom and then destroying this version of Darkseid?
It showed how badass she was.
She's petty. Like I said, she's
so
just
petty. Like her daddy.
I feel like she's worse. She's worse.
Which is great because she's the only one that actually looks like that nigga too.
I mean, yeah.
Like it was perfect, just everything, and just realizing that She orchestrated the entire events, even when things were like, yeah, no, she didn't. She had contingencies upon contingencies.
Facts.
She didn't ultimately didn't care. Like, all right, yeah, she's gonna kill. Mobius will kill my dad. That's what I'm hoping for. Mobius will be free of the anti-life equation, so I can collect that. My mama not really about the business. That's fine, but I'm gonna remake him. Hey, let me whoop on the Justice League several times, and let me get back at Diana because I'm petty. And let me bring my dad back, and he's a baby, and I'm gonna raise him.
Well, let's bring my dad back as my slave because I want to be in control of everything.
Yeah,
well,
she said, you're my bitch now, and you gotta listen to me.
And it's like, oh, okay, that's what we doing. I was like, damn. I mean, when you talk about a character being so badass from beginning to end, and just like so impressive, Grail,
yeah, definitely.
What they did with Grail is just like shit. Like this woman ain't no joke. She's not.
I just realized something. I mean, we're gonna get there, but I realized who the TVA of this universe is now. He's the TVA.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Owlman did something he wasn't supposed to do.
Yep.
And the TVA showed up like, hey, no, you can't do that.
When Owlman got into the chair, I was like, I hate this, but I love it at the same time.
It worked.
I had a feeling it was going to be short lived. I had a real strong feeling.
Very short lived though. Super short lived.
But we get a huge reveal at the end of this chapter though, that Diana wasn't the only one born.
Yup, and this is why that Rebirth storyline is so fun.
Yeah, so if you guys haven't read it, again, we're going to preach about it. Please go read the Wonder Woman Rebirth series. Really, really good. You can find out more about Jason and how he fits into the story. You know, him being the chosen one, all of that stuff.
It's wild. So I'm like, oh, okay. Well, this is all good. I'm like, I like this. Like, it set up a lot of stuff. Like, again, like I said, it set up a lot of really good branching storylines from here. And I think the problem was that they had to give it to other people to write it. Jeff couldn't write all of it.
Yeah.
And so all the folks had to take it and run. And I feel like, dang. Like, I wish they just given him time to like oversee all of this, and this could have been goated, like straight up.
Agreed.
It turned out fine, don't get me wrong, but man.
It could have been a lot better if DC Comics / Warner Bros. Knew what they were doing and not having stretched too thin and too far, trying to have him do movies, trying to write, trying to produce, trying to do this, instead of he could just make focus on this line of the Rebirth and actually helm the Doomsday Clock and the other storylines of the times of this actual whole, like this whole aftermath could have been a lot better. And from what I'm hearing from you guys, like I read some of the stuff of Rebirth, but not every single line. Like I have not
They
read the Wonder Woman,
dropped the ball,
and I really want to. So
yeah, read Wonder Woman for sure. They definitely dropped the ball, and reading this again made me so hyped because I was really hyped about Doomsday Clock. Like I was collecting, pre-ordering the issues. Like at this time, this is when I got back into comics. Was at the end of Darkseid War, beginning of Rebirth. Yeah, because I've taken a few years off, and then I just went on a binge for like 6 months where I'm in Facebook groups, like just entering auctioning for comic book issues of. That's when I started my Sandman collection. That's when I started my Blackest Night collection, whatnot.
Sandman's
just
really
ramping up my physical copies. And I was really excited for Rebirth and all that stuff because Darkseid War did a great job of making you excited. Doomsday Clock, it was like, yo, Watchmen coming into the DC universe, we're finally going to combine them. Like, this joint is about to go crazy. Like, you're giving us another Superman villain who it would make sense. It's like, yo, this is the guy you want to have. This is perfect. And the story started to make sense. And then,
I mean,
I'll
spoil it. Like then they basically killed the Superman. He dies. And I'm like, but why? So that
he can be reborn again?
Yes.
It was unnecessary.
Well, I mean, they don't even. It's not even their Superman that they get back. But like that's a whole nother thing. It's actually kind of weird. I still don't really like it. I'll be honest with you, because this Superman was great. Like this Superman was very good.
Oh yeah.
And then they decided to just like reboot Superman, which was wild. I'm like,
unnecessary. Truly.
Yeah,
unnecessary.
it was. I thought it was unnecessary as well. It could have been
was
real interesting. But I feel like we got a lot of really good stories out of this, and they kind of like set them all up at the very end of this. Like, Batman's thing,
real good job too.
Yeah, so like Wonder Woman and Grail's thing was awesome. Like Batman's thing was fantastic. It was like, hey, now I really have something that I'm really after. Then I don't remember. Did they have anything about Billy? I don't remember.
They did. They were doing a Shazam run, but no one really cared about it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think at the end of this, they didn't set anything up.
Yeah. It was like we barely saw him again, honestly. Mm-hmm. Oh, keep in mind, throughout this whole point, we were missing somebody. Martian Manhunter. For the longest during Rebirth, I was so annoyed because
I was going to actually get about that.
Yeah, they took him out of rotation, and then they brought him back in Rebirth. And his single issues, I was collecting them too, but I didn't finish them. Based off what I read, I was like, okay, I'm enjoying this. And then he plays more relevance later on, and then when they reboot after Rebirth, they go into the whole thing. But I was just like, Martian Manhunter would have been so great during this.
I actually don't know where he would have fit, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like it's just because we were so used to him being gone.
Do you think Grill would take him out as fast
as he
did to others?
I mean, we always know that he's the first one to get bopped when stuff happens. Like always.
They did a better job of him later, but like, he was one of those that, hey man, you see Martian Manhunter,
but I do love Martian Manhunter, I do.
Same here. I love John Jones.
I just I love the way this ends, and then especially with that legitimate cliffhanger in the epilogue where you're like, what happened? And then they started teasing stuff right away. And then somebody in the chat talked about the button. That story is also really, really interesting because it brings Flash and Batman back together. And I'm like, hey, yo, no, that's that button. And I'm like, oh my God. So like, it was like, they did some really cool stuff with this. Like I get really excited because it was really cool. And this was this is the time where I was at the height of my comic hype. Like I was buying and reading all of this. Like I had all the time. I had all of it. And I loved it. And like, it just getting to reread it today, it was like, yeah, no, I loved every bit of this. Other than how Shazam was useless, but still, because I mean, there's something very important about, you brought it up with why is Shazam backwards so useful?
Yeah.
Why does this kid have the power of the ancient gods? Huh? Not the old gods, the ancient gods, because that's a difference. So I'm like, oh, where'd that come from? And
but then one thing I do want to point out too is that one of the things that shouldn't be forgotten is we got more attention to the different powers of the universe. We had the Speed Force, and we've always known about it. Now you give us the Force of Strength, which was Superman epitomized and all that stuff. So I was like, it's a nice little teaser for those who may have picked up on it, like reading Flash, Mark Waid's version, and then being introduced to Speed Force and like, yo, I know there are others and whatnot. Let me explore. And it's like, oh crap, they brought that back in again, gave you a little taste, and then they did what they did. We'll see it again later, but it was still one of a recent new concept that they were still trying to flesh out on.
But East to West in chat, they were like, the hype like leading into Rebirth. First cover was so much fun. I had so much fun with that hype when it was coming out because I'm like, yeah, bro. Like if you were there, like I remember reading this week to week, and it was wild. I'm like, bro, like when we got to that epilogue,
I didn't have to do week to week. I came in around maybe like when issue 8 or 9 dropped. That's when I jumped back in, and I was catching up.
I'm not gonna lie, I loved it.
No,
I loved it.
I was week to week. It was during Rebirth. I think during the summers when it came out. And when Wally came back and everything, Titans run, just like everything. Story, man. I got everything, like anything that involved Wally and Nightwing, Dick Grayson. I got the Trinity, I got the Batman, I got the All-Star comics, I got the Detective comics as well. So
Detective Comics was one of the better Batman things that came out of Rebirth, if you ask me.
Oh yeah,
the Bat Family stuff was always cool.
I didn't finish the storyline with what happened with Tim. I don't know what happened to Tim because I never finished it.
Oh yeah, finish that. It's actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, I
Like
just don't know what
legitimately.
happened.
Yeah, because I think I stopped buying them probably the year after that run because I was like, I'm spending too much money. I'm dropping like $160 a week at this point, and I'm like,
Same.
nah,
Yeah.
I gotta stop. I gotta
I was
stop.
I was spending money
Even
that I
though
did not have.
the comics were less when
Right?
Rebirth came out too.
Right.
Yeah, they lowered the price, and I was like, still like, oof, because I was buying both. I was buying both DC, Marvel, and like Dark Horse and all the other like indie comics at the same time.
IDW
Yeah.
Boom, all them.
Yeah, it got expensive.
Yeah.
So
So let's get final thoughts. Ray, I know you already gave us some, but did you have any other final thoughts?
Darkseid War is kind of like I thought it was a beautiful like eulogy for that version of the DC universe. Like I was like, this was fun. Like it was just fun. I was like, this is a comic book story firing on damn near all cylinders.
Absolutely.
And I just had a great, and like it brought in the biggest bads and like some of just the biggest powers in the universe and threw them together, and then seeing how our heroes dealt with it, and then what was thrust upon them as a result. It had consequences from their actions and things out of their control that they couldn't control, and that they just kind of had to like deal with. It was really interesting to see all of that happen, and then for the universe to kind of be set up to go in a completely different direction was really, really fun to see and be there at the time. So I mean, but it's always gonna be for people who have never experienced it before to come in and see this happen. I think it's gonna be fun for anybody forever, honestly. It's like, man, it's just a good time. If you like comic books and you like DC and you want to just read a really, really solid DC story, I think you can pick this up with very little prior knowledge and have a good time still.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Abe, final thoughts?
Yo, for Darkseid, I mean, this was a solid Darkseid story. It's Grail's debut was badass as hell. You know, now you see why she's my favorite sibling. And also Ray's waifu. Um, and it helped set up such a great storyline for Wonder Woman. It gave us a fun Green Lantern and Jessica. Um, and honestly, it's just like I said, it's top 5 DC storyline for me. It's not 4 or 5. Like it was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. I loved everything about it. Even the killing of Darkseid, I was content with that. Bringing him back as a baby, I was like, oh, this about to be fun. Like it was great. I was happy. I was happy with everything I got.
Vash?
Shazam sucks, by the way.
To what Ray was saying, for those that do want to jump into comics, if you guys want to read this, I highly suggest it. It gives a prologue of what prior character story is. It gives you a small backstory of characters that you may not know, like Scott, other characters like Grail or like Darkseid and everything. So it gives you small backstories of characters that you don't know of. Like you may know Wonder Woman, Superman, Flash, probably Cyborg a bit, so you don't really need a full flashback story of theirs. But for characters that you have not been introduced, they give you it's more prologue, and it helps so for people that haven't read comics in years, it's been a while, or for those that want to jump into comics. And I feel like this is a great story to jump into from New 52 into Rebirth, like myself. I did read this story and Rebirth years ago because I just did not much like New 52. And for me to go into Rebirth, I love it. I just paused because, like Ray said, money. I just had a regular sales job. So that was not very helpful for a guy who was just doing a regular job. Just
Yeah, bro. I was working at a nonprofit when I was about all this. Yeah.
So it was not great. But for this story to reread after years later and me thinking, I never read this story. And then while reading, I'm like, yo, the story's so good. Why does it look so familiar? Oh shit, I did read this years ago. And then just rereading it, it made me realize, it made me love why me and James made this show. For one, for the fans, for the audience. But two, it gives me and James another reason to get back into comics and review them, talk about them, and dissect them, and have a conversation with guests, with people of why this is good, bad, or not. And like me and Ray, top 10, definitely not top 5. I don't know where, but definitely top 10 within DC Comics.
And by the way, like no
story.
knock to you, Abe, that it's in your top 5, straight up. It's just that for me, there's some other stories that I like a little bit better.
Yeah. And plus, maybe with tie-in characters in a grander scale, maybe top 5. But at the moment, with the DC Comics overall, top 10. It's such a good story that introduces. It's nice to see actually Diana being the focal point throughout the whole story, and not Batman or Superman or or maybe Green Lantern, but to actually see Diana being the main focal point. I love it. So that to me was my favorite, and plus her being the narrative throughout the whole story was amazing. So I really cannot say, if you ask me for a score, I'll probably give it 9 or 9.5 out of 10. And plus Shazam could have been better.
Yeah, man,
I'll just give it up.
I like everything that you guys said, man. Like, this is a really, really good story. I definitely think it's in my top 10 favorite DC stories. Art's amazing. Thought the dialogue, the writing was top notch. They could have done more with Cyborg. They could have done a little bit more with Shazam, but nothing can be, everything can't be perfect. You know what I mean? What we came in to see, we got, getting to see Mobius versus Darkseid. Grail, like Abe said, came in with a great introduction. Yep. Completely decimated the Justice League, and I mean, she was in control from beginning to end of this entire run, so it was really, really interesting to see. I felt like Darkseid War was a great way to finish the New 52. It was great setup for Rebirth. I do like a lot of stuff in Rebirth. Doomsday Clock didn't work out exactly the way we wanted, but there's a lot of good stuff that happens in Rebirth. I like Godspeed and seeing Wally come back and all that stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that comes from this. This is a really, really strong story. If you haven't read it, check out the Essential Edition. It's awesome if you don't care about the tie-ins, but I do recommend reading the tie-ins. They're a really, really good part of the story. But if you just want the Darkseid War, the Essential Edition exists and you can check that out. But man, I had a lot of fun reading this. Probably gonna read it again. Who knows? Like, reading this kind of made me wanted to pick up Secret Wars again and read that again from the beginning, just to have some fun on a comic on this like grand scale. But yeah, man, had a lot of fun reviewing it with you guys, and I can't wait for our future comic book deep dives that we're gonna do. October, we're gonna be doing Immortal Hulk. Ray will be back for that. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We have a lot of stuff coming in October on the YouTube channel, on the website. We got a lot of stuff coming for you guys, so make sure you stay tuned. Ray, where can the people find you online?
You can find me literally everywhere as Ray Apollo. That's RayAPOLLO. From Twitter to TikTok. That's where you can find your boy. And man, I got especially here. I literally can't wait for Immortal Hulk, because it is one of the best comic book runs in a decade. Straight up.
Nice. Abe?
You already know who it is. It's Prince Issue of the Blood Mist, aka Son of Darkseid, aka a Kang variant, the petty god himself, the villain of the shadows. You already know what it is. Follow me on Twitter and Twitch at Prince_Alawal. That's Prince_ALAWAL. Follow my podcast, Osen A Podcast. Follow Inside the Mind of a Blurred. Head over to the Inside the Mind of a Blurred shop. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at the Blurred Mind Pod. That's the Blurred Mind Pod again. Definitely show some love to Spicy Lady Entertainment. She's streaming right now. She was streaming us too, so shout out to Spicy Lady again for all the love. Anime Lately, of course, show them some love as well. Careful for spoilers, show them some love, so appreciate y'all. And we're gonna be having some fun in the future. Got a lot of stuff cooking for y'all. I'll be back streaming probably as early as middle of next week. I have some upgrades coming along, some purchases that have been made and are about to be made within the next few days. So I'm hoping to come back, debut with my face so you can see me while I game. So
yeah, you guys know you can follow me all over social media at JB Exclusive and at C4 Spoilers. We have a lot of stuff coming for you guys in the next coming months. Abe and I, we're going to be working on some horror stuff. I know I keep saying it, but October is coming up, and we have Malignant, Halloween Kills. There's a lot of great stuff coming out in October, so we're going to have some lit content coming for you guys. Stop by shopforspoilers.com, pick up a t-shirt, pick up a hoodie, support us over there. Head over to Patreon. If you don't want to get merch, you can support us over there as well. August 1st, tomorrow, we are going to be releasing 17 podcasts that will not exist anywhere else except in the vault on Patreon. So make sure you guys, if you guys are interested, head over and check that out. We're talking full deep dive reviews of every single Avengers movie, Iron Man, Captain America, the First Avenger, Hereditary, Get Out, Split. Huge library of our best movie reviews coming to the vault, so make sure you guys check that out. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. Next week is going to be a super chill episode. We're just going to talk about some news, shoot the shit about some comics, maybe talk about some comic book movies. But next week is going to be a super chill show. We have a giveaway that we're doing next week as well, and a huge announcement next week. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that announcement as well. So yeah, but for the council and myself, we will see you guys on the next one.